Hello, I am the Ronan Pawn, and welcome to a twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn live stream on twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn. Only 12 minutes late to start, thanks to the Secretary of State of the Michigan, in the city of Detroit, it's basically our DMV. I had to go to the DMV today, Michigan's DMV, which is called the Secretary of State, just to confuse the rest of the country. Why did I have to go? To the DMV, to the SOS, as it is. Why did I need to start my day at 11 a.m., go out to the Secretary of State, and only get back at 4 p.m.? What was I doing? What took so long? Well, it's my birthday! It's my birthday! Have a party! So, what took so long was I needed a new license and registration for my vehicle and new tags for my plates, and apparently that takes 6 hours. If you do it the way that I did it, it absolutely does. Let's just get this out of the way, okay? Right up front.
It's your birthday.
It's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to me.
It's your birthday. Happy
birthday!
It's a great day. That's what we say. Happy birthday to you.
Me! It's my birthday! Which means 6 hours at the Secretary of State, the Michigan Department of Motor Vehicles, basically. It's okay, though, because I had 3 beers while I was out getting my license. So I took advantage of it. It's your birthday! It's my birthday. You're so old. Why are there no... You're supposed to finish that with sexy. You're supposed to do it right after someone, like, coughs up phlegm or sneezes into their hand, and then you go, you're so sexy. Just to make them feel better about the fact that they don't feel sexy. You're still into the handcuffs things, Hal? Oh, God, you're starting already. I would like to point out I was the first to congratulate you on revolving the planet yet another cycle. Well, revolving the sun yet another cycle. I do the planet thing pretty regularly, but the sun thing, I try and limit myself to like once a year, more or less. So yeah, I just... Oh God, I think I hurt myself. What how drunk are you, says the 14th Doctor? Well, pretty tipsy, honestly, because yeah, I went to the SOS, and I went to the SOS in Hamtramck, and I sat there for maybe 25 minutes and watched as they processed about 4 people. The number they were calling, because it's a ticket system, the number they were calling was 55. I had pulled ticket 98. 25 minutes, they processed 3 to 5 people. So I went, you know what? I've got some time. Think I'll step across the street. Noticed a sports bar. So I went in there, met some people, had a beer, just had a grilled cheese sandwich, in fact, all that. And then an hour later, I go back over to the Secretary of State. It's now been like an hour and 20 minutes since I first set foot in an SOS. They're now up to number 70 is standing in the final line. So they haven't actually called 70. Remember, I have 98. So I pull out my calculator, do some quick math. I realize they're processing 3.75 people per something and go, yeah, it looks like I've got another hour and a half that I can either be sitting here or go back to the bar, shoot some pool, have another beer. So I went back over to the bar. I came back an hour later, by my estimate, be an hour and a half at least, at the rate that they were at. They had suddenly spiked to, now they're calling like 114, ticket 114. So for the first 2 hours that I was around, they processed, 3 people per 10 minutes or something like that. And then suddenly they processed 50 people in a half an hour or something. So I said, fuck this place, I'll go to the other Secretary of State. And I went down there and kind of did a similar thing. I mean, I didn't go get any more beer because it was too far to walk. But here's the thing. Why am I still tipsy? It's Detroit. So Secretary of State in Detroit, Grand Boulevard, bathrooms? Public bathrooms in a public facility where you're going to ask the public to sit for regularly an hour and a half or more? Public bathrooms? Oh, my poor heart. Why would they have those? Also, why would they have like a drinking fountain? So, yeah, basically the beer that I had while waiting for the first SOS had a good time to like ruminate. So I now have a very fine German beer brewing in me because I couldn't get any water and I couldn't pee for all the time that I was at the Secretary of State's office, because it's a public facility designed and maintained for the public, so of course they wouldn't have drinking fountains or bathrooms. Not even in the adjacent buildings or anything, because if they did, then people on the street who were thirsty or had to defecate would just come in and use those facilities as though they're publicly available from the state of Michigan. I really did. I strongly considered walking across the street and peeing on the, like, there's a police department, state police department, right on the other side of the SOS. Really strongly considered walking up to their door and just pissing right in front of it. Like, what do you want me to do? You know? You didn't provide the facilities. What do you think I'm going to do? Just, what are we, fucking camels now? Huh? You're the state, you don't provide the facilities, and then you're going to make laws about, oh, you can't just piss in the street. Well, then have a fucking toilet once every square mile or so. But, I didn't. Instead, what I did was I took a tour of an adjoining building, 10-story tall building, with apparently no security and no building engineer, because I was able to cross this walkway where I nearly got heat stroke in it because it's lined with air conditioners, not a single fucking one of them work. And you get into the second building, 10-story building, and because there's real estate available on the second floor of the second-story building, I was able to access an area that they're trying to, like, rent to someone to, apparently used to be a pizza place, and that facility just happens to have the electric box for the entire floor in it. And I just walked in. Nobody bothered me. Hung out in there, looked around, inspected the facility, you know, went into the closet, took pictures of the, hey, look, and sent them to Discord. Hey, look, everybody, if I wanted to, I could shut down an entire floor of a 10-story building in Detroit right now. What do you think? Should I do it? I didn't do it. But, you know, if I want to plant a bomb, I got some good ideas of where to place them now. You know, I mean, where I'm not going to be bothered. You know, I can come back over the course of several days and install everything that I need. Hook right into the electrical system if I need to. I'm going to need 120 volts. Oh, well, here we go. Let me just put in my own socket and just... Fucking hell. Oh. So you took the power down, yeah? I didn't. Oh, good job on your license, says the 14th Doctor. I did get my license. I actually, once I got to the Secretary of State, once I got up to the front, I mean, I was so fucking blasted at that point. I don't know what's going on. I get up there and I say to her when I walk up, license, registration, and tags. It's my birthday. I need all of them. And she did the registration. Which comes with the tags, but she didn't do the license, and I didn't know, and then I walked away and had to wait for the next person and then turn around and go, I also need a license. And it's, So they've got their act together. Everything is like really just, it's so safe and secure and thoughtful and convenient for people in the city of Detroit. But welcome to a live stream where we play games on my birthday. On my birthday. The game will be playing today is called It's called Interrupt the Live Streamer Simulator 2018. A new unknown input controller was founded. It was just used as ignore the existence of an Xbox controller. Is really one plugged in? These things just migrate. Holy shit, that's loud in my headphones. Bear with me. What is going on here? Create? No. I exist already. What? Hey, hang on. Just everybody, if you can hear me now. You wanna? Yes, I do. Just log me in. This is an online. I know it's an on. Oh fuck. Create Select your picture. I'll select you. So, you've just lost all of my information? Sure. That's me. That's... Look. Huh? Right there. Yes, I am a woman. No! No, alright, I'll be, where was he? No, that was me. That was a perfect likeness of me. Why are there so few black people driving trucks in this game? The white racist game. There we go. There he is. That's the rodent one. Enter the name of your company. 2 hours at the SOS. 4 to 6 hours at the SOS on my birthday. I can't fit it all on B day. Blowjob day for me. Thank you. My favorite truck. Suck my favorite truck design. This one looks lovely. Company logo. Do you have this in a pink particular? That's nice. Yeah, keyboard, please. Just simple. Just, yeah. Right. I swear there's a login to this game and it stores your information online. I swore there was. Select city you want to start in. New Mexico, because I own Albuquerque. No. It's my birthday! Shut up, it's my birthday! Shut up. Shut up. You only have yourself to blame then for not knowing things. Who? Who? Everyone? Everyone. Okay, will you just please, for the love of God. Oh, God. Audio. Yeah, we installed new computers. Master volume. How about down to go fuck yourself levels? There we go. Welcome back. Coming to a Pawn stream for Pawn stories is like watching porn for the stories, as a guy called Jim. I'm not giving you very good porn otherwise. It's not for my stories. Come here for the gameplay, huh, Pi? Wow, that's a sad thing. That is a sad life you're living. Over to the job market. Apparently, all of my work and money, that's okay, I didn't need it anyway. We'll start out with a nice, small, short distance haul from Albuquerque to the longest friggin' place that I could. Price per distance? Yeah, sort it by the most money. Okay, so it does. It's sorting it by the most money I can possibly make up front. Just 5,000. You know what? Just sort it by all the money you'll give me. How's that sound? Maximum dollar value of whatever comes out of Albuquerque. Go to the end. No? Really? The best I can do is $65.50. Alright, sort by price per distance. And working for you for free. Give me the Gallup, New Mexico job. You cannot cancel your first job. No one would respect you after that. I didn't realize that I was in bed with someone. And that they weren't going to respect me. Welcome to American Truck Simulator. I have reinstalled everything. Don't worry, I've got the old save file somewhere. Maybe. It doesn't really matter. Turn my vehicle on. Turn someone else's vehicle on. What, are we hauling something? So, parking brake's engaged. Well, why did you leave the parking brake on? It looks like we've already got... Yeah. We got a thing. Which way am I going? I'm presuming that I'm going out this way. Welcome to a Wednesday Zendnesday, where we talk about religion and spirituosities and politics and you know, the sins of the world, the evils that are unmaking. We talk about how they're turning the friggin' frogs gay. Shit, you chained this one up, did you? Alright, I'm gonna have to zoom in to see where the hell it is you actually want me to exit. Bastards. Bastards. No. No. The other direction. The other direction. I'm sure there's nothing over there. There's nothing. Oh, okay, you might want to slow down. Shouldn't have put those chains up. Your fault, not mine. Oh. Oh. Exams. I should start revising. I've got like 2.5 hours to learn a quarter of my course. Well, you know where's a good place where, you know, things are very quiet and not really moving and you can just kind of zone out? The Secretary of State office in the city of Detroit, Michigan. If you're busy. If you're not busy, it's a good place to waste a day. What I've found, especially if it's your birthday. Okay, not that way either. Maybe I should look at the map. The fuck am I supposed to get out of here at? They chained off the exits. Can I go out this way? It looks like I can go out that way. There's no road there, Pawn. That would be a pretty good indicator that you're not allowed to go out that way. Well, fuck the game. Ah, god damn it. Invisible walls. God damn invisible. Where the hell did they want me to leave from? Are we sure Pawn is good to drive, says Rookie84. I'm fine. I drive better when I'm spent a lot of time, you know, at a Secretary of State's office. I drive better. Yeah, I'm just gonna jackknife it. Don't worry about it with your air conditioning and your industry. Just keep going. Push it. Push it. Yeah, it's up on 2 wheels. Who gives a shit? Trailer damage 3%. You forced me to take this job. You said I couldn't take it. No one would respect me if I didn't. If I would have not taken it, they might have respected that I didn't run into everything. Where's the exit? I pulled forward. I went to the most obvious exit. They had chains on it. Is this a new part of the game? You're supposed to blast through them and yeah, and then it cuts back to like this view, and it's like these Duke boys are gonna have a little bit of trouble. Is that what we do? Is that the idea? You know what? I'm gonna go around this way now. I see a road on the map that exits this way, so this is probably it, or not. We'll see. Just pile through the fences, the border patrol. A Wednesday Zendnesdays, ladies and gentlemen. That's what this is. Where we talk about, today we're going to talk about the song This Is America by Childish Gambino. But we're going to talk about, because I've been wanting to since last Friday. And you guys didn't want to hear it then. So now it's my birthday. I get to tell you every horrible thing that I wanted to tell you. So first off, I hate you. You've never treated me well. You've always criticized my stories and come turn up for the gameplay. You never give me $3. Oh, thank you, Noah, for the $3. You never give me $3.07 like I want. Hey! We just passed what is going on. What radio? Is that the radio? Who told you to turn the radio on? Don't do that. I don't need audio. What? Radio volume. Here you go. Thanks. I don't need your possibly copywritten music on my live stream. Thank you, though, for that. I was only driving over here. Well, in an hour and a half, it is my birthday, Pawns, as a guy called Jim. It can't possibly be. You know how I know? Because, I was born today, some time ago, and they made a policy, never again. We will never, no, not gonna allow another child to be born on this day. Not after the friggin' massacre. Not after this. Capital 100. Get your money, white man, says Cavuto. Oh, I'm gonna get my money. I'm gonna get your grandma told me to get my money. That was me, you doofus. Birthday song. I know it was you, Noah. Thank you for the $3.07. It wasn't 7 cents? Thank you. Thank you, Noah. Well, and that was Noah playing. Oh, it was you playing Happy Birthday? I thought it was a radio volume. I thought it was... That wasn't a birthday. Was that a birthday? Mexican birthday? Were you playing me a Mexican birthday song? I liked it. You screwed me up again. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't you donate $3 and put the sound of someone knocking in just my right ear cup? Like you've done before, bastard. Jermacian just subscribed. Thank you for the subscription, Jermacian. Birthday subscriptions for everyone named Ronan Pawn, who calls themselves Ronan Pawn. I stopped here. I can turn right. It's America. We get to go on red. Sometimes you don't even have to stop if the cops aren't there. Here's some some Ronan Pawns in chat for you, Jermacian. Noah, I noticed, didn't get any Ronan Pawns in chat, but is giving them. What a sweet fella he is. What a reformed convict he is. He's really pulled his act. Why would I be born on May 16th? I can think of better days to be born on, like May 17th, as a guy called Jim. I don't know, man. 16th, it's, you know, about as dead middle to the month as you could get. It's the even number as opposed to the odd one. Huh? You know, because 15 or 60, that's a pretty good number. You know, 516 or 165 if you're in a civilized nation. We don't do that over here. You know, pretty good sound digit, I'd say. I like all of those numbers stacked up next to each other. You gotta have an even number in there, right? If it's all odd, well then you've just damned your whole life, which is basically what, yeah. I blew my horn! I blew my horn, so you have to stop. Also, why are you coming? He wasn't coming this way anyway. Otherwise, he would have plowed right into it. 517 though, says a guy called Jim. That's a lot of odd numbers. I like odd numbers. Shit, I should have done this one day later. Why the hell did I appear in my mother's womb in 516? Press enter. Where do you need it? Where do you need it? I can park it. I've only damaged it 3% in a drive that was like 3 miles, I think. 3-mile drive from one side of town to the other. This trailer comes in, it's all dense and tail lights are broken out. There's illegal immigrants in the back of it. How did you do this? We're in Albuquerque. It was a 3-mile drive. When did you stop off in Mexico? Well, there was music playing. So I stopped off to pick up some illegal immigrants. Just thought it would... Quick swing down to the border. They had a movie called, like, Quarantine 517. It'd sound way cooler than Quarantine 516. What's the temperature at which paper burns on May 16th? Huh? It's 420 if you live around here. Oh, it's 420 is the temperature at which paper burns. If you know what I'm talking. If you're sitting at the SOS, that's what we all do. We just sit there, we just pass the blunt. And they're all, you know, all the workers behind the counters, they're going, God, they're doing it again. And they never share. But, you know, what else are we going to do? It's Detroit. Got a lot of time on our hands, you know. Nothing's really legal, so everything is. You know, you don't have to stop at the red lights. The police aren't coming, so, right? I mean, if you can't pee or drink water, you might as well get high. That's just... Everybody understands that principle. Wow, this is turning out to be a lot harder than I remember it being. Come on, for the love of God. There you go, just bump right into it. Fucking hell. Fucking hell. Alright, no, I gotta pull it out a little bit more. I missed it by a couple of inches. Nothing. I got nothing for that. Fahrenheit 4... It's Fahrenheit 420, guy called Jim. Come on. Swing her around, straighten her out. Right into the spot. See, now that's how you do it. Right like that. Right like that, except for not, because I'm going to hit the other container. But it's close. It's real close. We'll just swing her the other way, good and hard, and then we'll drive it back, and then we'll pull it back in the other direction to try and straighten that back out, and boom, we're going to hit it. So pull just a little bit forward, and I got her now. You know that I got her now. There you go. There you go. And then we just want to, like spell what? Spell Albuquerque? Okay. For how much money? Spell Tucson, as in Tucson, Arizona. Spell it. Spell it, I dare you. How do you figure Tucson is spelled? People who don't know already. People who are guessing. How would you spell Tucson if you were spelling Tucson? You might be able to spell it, but that doesn't mean all of us can spell it, you know, says the guy called Jim. That's right. That's why I'm asking about Tucson, Albuquerque. There we go. Drop it off, and then let's get the hell out of here before they notice that I broke up the thing and that there's several people named Jose in the back. Yeah, I'm a newbie. I made the devil's money. 666. I'm well on my way to owning my own truck. It's Tucson, son. Tucson? Tucson is how you would spell it? That's stupid. It's also correct. This is my headquarters. I don't even own my own truck, but I own a building, do I? Well, pretty sure that's not how that works. Pretty basic, but blah, 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 blah. Go to the job market. Give me a quickie, honey. It's my birthday. Come on, just make me feel good. Albuquerque. Where we're going to start at. We want the price per distance, most money I can make, but also like a nice long haul. You know, actually, just show me distance. Show me just distance. Just distance. Just straight distance. Route length. There you go. Sorted from bottom to top, so the longest one will be at the end. Alright, we'll take these machine parts to wherever the hell it is that they want me to take them. And we will start talking about Childish Gambino's This Is America. This is America. Because I came into contact with the song, or rather, actually, the video. I didn't put my parking brake... You hooked it up for me, did you? It's a quick job, they always do. Okay. I came across that video while I was building my dad's computer. I built my dad a computer, built out of Charlotte, the old PC. Still building it, got a couple of parts coming in either today, tomorrow, or the next day. And while I was building that PC, I needed to test, can this video card, because it's an older video card that I had in stock, can this video card handle, like, 1080p, 60 frames per second? Can it watch Netflix? Can it handle Sling? Can it watch YouTube at 4K and stuff like that? So I just went to the YouTube homepage without anybody logged in, anonymous, and what came up with was This Is America by Childish Gambino. Now, I didn't have speakers hooked up to the PC at that point. Hello, Leonidas5. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. I didn't have speakers hooked up to my dad's PC that I was building at that point. So, I end up watching This Is America by Childish Gambino, the music video, without any audio. I just turned it on to see if it would play smoothly on the PC, and it did. The video card is fine. But yeah, it's something where if this is the first time you're hearing about this song, This Is America by Childish Gambino, I recommend that experience. I recommend you going ahead and this sign doesn't need to be here, does it? Alright, I'll leave it intact. I recommend tuning in without any audio for your first experience. Just watch the video. And bear in mind that the name of the thing you've just clicked on is This Is America. Because it was striking. It made me go, wow, I have to come back when I've got, on another computer that's got the speakers hooked up, and I gotta listen to that song. And then I listened to the song. Holy shit. Holy shit, is it a powerful piece of music. For as few words, as little lyrics as there are to that song, oh my god, the message that is communicated, especially when experienced in conjunction with the video, but the music itself also rather powerful. Good God, y'all. The lyrics being primarily, This Is America, guns in my area, what is it? I got the strap, I gotta carry 'em, stuff like that. Just talking about, the way the music goes. It goes back and forth between happy, fun, like, and, it's kind of gospel-type music, kind of sort of the way that white America prefers black America, We prefer to see it, oh, yeah, Grandma told me, get your money, black man, get your money. And then there's gunshots, and then, in a very low voice, there's Childish Gambino singing This Is America. And, the line that stuck in my head and stayed with me for days and days and days and days, and it's still sticking around and popping in my head all the time, it leads into that one, but it's black man, get your money. It's Grandma told me, get your money. Black man, get your money. Black man, get your money. Because there's just so much unpacking that I can do of that one sentence. Black man, get your money. Because I've actually been, this has been, I don't know, I'm on a certain kind of a cycle here, watched a video the other day on YouTube where it was a Vlogbrothers video where he was, said, check out these interesting maps that show some different things and show you how en masse the world is getting better. And let's all just take some solace in the fact that the world is getting better en masse. We've reduced our energy output, more children are born in the presence of doctors and nurses than have ever been on the surface of the planet. The world is getting better. More nations across the surface of the world are educating their children for longer periods of time. The world is getting better. Look at these maps that measure the world in gross, large-scale form, ignoring anecdote, ignoring granular data, because that's what what John, I believe, from the Vlogbrothers, that's his cycle right now. My cycle seems to be exactly opposed to that. I've spent the past couple of days kind of binge-watching episodes, most of which that I've already seen before, of John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, where he takes American politics and government and just shows you how things actually are, and then goes, "What a wonderful world it is not." Basically. So I've been thinking along these terms for a while now, and then I hear this song, and "Black man, get your money" is the refrain. And what immediately I start to unpack from that sentence, what is immediately present to me, is the surface level notion that, and there is recorded evidence of American politicians saying exactly this: racism is over. We've already been through that. We've done desegregation. We've handled, it's done. We had a black president, for Christ's sake. It's over. We're equal now. So, when I hear the sentence, "Black man, get your money," it sounds to me like the kind of thing that you'd hear somebody, that it's telling me, there's equality is good now. We're all set. Racism's over. There's no systemic imbalance or inequality in this nation anymore. You have all the same rights as everyone else. So, black man, go out and get your money, because now you can. And there's the disparity has been repaired. Black man, get your money. That's what I hear in there. That's how it hits me, is the sort of societal connotation, the overtone in America that, yeah, we took care of it. We grew up. We ended slavery. We figured out this whole inequality thing. Look, it's already been, 30, 40 years since, everyone actually had equal rights in the books, so it's over now. And obviously, to anyone with a brain, that's not the case. Don't have to be. Oh, damn it, we must be on a hill, because I slowed down real fast there when I took my foot off the gas. You don't have to be a black person in America, or a Hispanic person in America, to have eyes and be able to see how things actually work. To be able to see that, both statistically and just from your own life experience, that, when slavery ended, the white people who ended slavery were more than happy to see blacks no longer treated like cattle on the farm, made to work without any options of choosing their own lives. They were more than happy to see that. What they weren't more than happy to do is have the black people move into their neighborhoods. So what happened was you ended up with a whole lot of black slaves all across, freed slaves now, black freed slaves now, basically pushed into little corners of society. We ended up calling those ghettos, where a generation of people who weren't even, born on this shore necessarily, who were stolen from their homelands and forced to be cattle to some farmer who treated them as such and thought of them as such and fed them and housed them with the same kind of concerns as you would for your cows. Kind of just said, really happy that you guys are free now. Would you mind living and taking your, gross poverty, since you have nothing, you came to this country with nothing, these slave owners never gave you anything except for the amount of food you needed in order to get to the next day to work some more. So obviously you have nothing. Would you mind taking your gross, disparate poverty just over there-ish and just kind of not being where I can see you? Would you terribly mind that? And would you mind terribly if we didn't really hire you to do anything either? You're free now, huh? You get to make money and choose your own life. No one's gonna hire you, though. Because, we're not racist. It's just, I know little Johnny, he's next door, he's just turning 17 now, I'd like to give him a chance. Because I grew up around him, he grew up around me, he's been part of my life all these years. I just want to give little Johnny a chance. I'm sorry, what do you call yourself? Washington? Mr. Washington, I'm not sure that my customers would be comfortable with you in the room. By the way, here's your own drinking fountain. So, here's the thing. That's how it was, and that, eventually, the white people in charge recognized is also shitty. And definitely not equality, and definitely not fair. And so, eventually, programs were put into place, and laws were put into place to actually guarantee equality. Problem is, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't even happen over a century, really. When you take a whole generation of people, and Gohan 0646 subscribes, take a whole generation, thank you for the subscription, Gohan. Take a whole generation of people and, you know, leave them with nothing and ask them to stay out of the way and please be unheard and unseen. That level of poverty and lack of equal opportunity, lack of equal education, yeah, it doesn't really, you can't just sort of drywall over that. Well, do I have to say cuz? Do I have to explain why that doesn't work? Do I really have to go down there, or are we all on the same page that, yeah, if you don't have opportunity, money, education, it's not equal, and then one day, society decides, okay, you can have it all now, it's gonna take you a minute. Isn't it? It's going to take, as a society of human beings, as a culture of millions of people within a nation, it's going to take a minute for you to catch up to all of the opportunity, to all of the equality that everyone else got that you didn't get, you know? Ronan Pullen, why not export the audio from Zendnesdays to make them into a podcast? I'm basically just listening to this in the background already, so no. I could do that, I suppose. Major Dexter with cheering 5. Go ahead, we can't stop you if we wanted to. We couldn't stop you. It's true. It's true. So, when I hear the single refrain in Childish Gambino's This Is America, Black Man Get Your Money, what I hear is the notion that things are equal now. So, just go out and get your money. You can go out and get it now, because everything's equal, everything's fair, and more so I hear that if you haven't, well, you know, it was our fault back in the day. It was the white supremacy back in the day, but now it's not. Now it's just on you, because we've done everything to make this system equal. So, you know, it's just you wasting opportunity at this point, black people. That's what I hear when I hear Black Man Get Your Money, is someone expressing the core feeling, the core, you know, message that America has for black and Hispanic and just poor people generally, but in particular black and Hispanic culture today is, you know, hey, it's all good, buddy. We fixed it. So now it's on you. Now it's your fault. As though... Oh. Okay. That's, I was, No, I saw it. I almost got a trailer to a destination without any damage. Whew, dodged that bullet. Thank God I managed to damage it. Sorry, Pablo. Well done, Pawns, as a guy called you. As though being born into a poverty-stricken area where jobs are few and pay not a lot, and being born into a country where your culture and the culture that you grow up with, the way you talk, the way you hold yourself, your posture, the way you communicate with everyone else, you know, what do they say? 80% of all communication is nonverbal, because it's in the way you hold yourself, it's in the way you walk, and the way you look, and the way you motion and you gesture, and it's different. It's different across the races. So, you now just have to, all you have to do, black man, to get your money, is pretend to be white. That's it. That's all you gotta do. You gotta act like, walk like, talk like a white man. Even though your culture, the household you grew up in, tends to have different way of walking and talking. You now have to, even though there's nothing wrong, it's just differences, it's just cultural differences. You cross the border anywhere, any border anywhere, from state to state, and you'll find cultural differences. But because you're black, you have to pretend to be less black in order to be hireable. And furthermore, even if you do, the statistics show, first you got to get yourself an interview. So if you really want to be successful black man and get your money, what you really should do is change your name. You should change your name to something innocuous that looks white. That looks white on paper, you know? You got the last name Washington, or, you know, if your first name is Shalanda or something like that. Here's the thing. Studies have shown that if we send in 2 resumes, and at the top of one it's Linda and the other is Letitia, Letitia ain't getting a call back, okay? She ain't getting called back. Same qualifications, same, you know, absolutely overqualified for the position. Letitia ain't getting a call back. But there is that societal overtone, you know, that, no, it's over, it's done. I've even heard young black men say it. Young black men who grew up in suburban America, who have seen a different kind of existence, who, you know, thanks to the hard work of, you know, their family members and a lot of fucking luck, and possibly a lot of people doing exactly what I'm talking about, which is playing along, you know, pretending to be as white as possible, because you have to. Thanks to their forebears, they haven't had to see the immense poverty that black America has been forced into, and, you know, they go to white suburban middle-class schools, primarily white suburban middle-class schools, and they have a different experience than the average black person, just like the average white person in this country has a different experience. And I have heard young black men say stuff like, man, that's over, you know? This is a new generation, Obama was elected. It's like, holy shit, how out of touch are you with reality? Son, get in the car. I know you love it out here in Oakland County. I know you're having a great time with your disc golf tournament. Get in the car. I play disc golf too. But I'm white, so it's okay. Get in the car, son. I want to take you down to 6 Mile, where I live in Detroit. I want to show you what things look like when they're real. Because you've been living in, you know, white America's make-believe paper fantasy. You know, where everything is nice and polished, where people are literally, you know, the suburbs around here, the suburbs in America are basically where people who already had just ridiculous, just too much for anyone, people who already had everything they could ever want, took their massive, massive excess and spent millions building massive, massive excess for, you know, their children, for their next generation, and, you know. And people think that that's, you know, they justify that. They say, well, of course they did. It's their children, you know. Anyone would do that. Anyone would do that. It's because it's for your children. So you do everything for your children. You don't consider who else has to suffer. It's your children. You're going to give, that's your first responsibility as a parent, to make sure that your child is taken care of. So, you know, my school in Lake Orion had an Olympic-sized swimming pool, indoor, 2 of them, if I recall correctly. And our lunchroom wasn't a lunchroom. It wasn't a cafeteria. It wasn't, you know, a multi-purpose gym. It was like, it was I can't remember what they had. They had some kind of posh name for it, you know? That, oh my god, you can move the things! I didn't know I could hit them! Okay, I have fucked this up really, really bad, and I'm not going to be able to park it this way. I'm going to spin around, and I'm going to come in from the other direction. Is how I'm going to do it. Paul, and abducting children now, says Noah Cry. Son, get in the van. I'm going to take you down to 6 Mile. What? The same test was done in Scandinavian countries, but with a twist. Middle Eastern name versus Scandinavian name with a felony. Everything else equal. The Middle Eastern name got less replies. So both of them had a felony on them? See, what's with the felony? What's with the felony? So the assumption, okay, so Middle Eastern with the felony and Scandinavian with the felony, and then the Middle Eastern get less replies. Okay. Yeah, I would love to, this country would love to have that kind of a problem. I mean, if we had that kind of disparity, you know, that kind of racism going on, we would be celebrating in the streets. Because the racism that we have, oh shit, I missed it entirely. The racism that we have in America goes like this. You line up 10 white guys and 10 black guys in a courtroom. They all stand before a judge, and they hold the same bag of weed. You just leave the same bag of weed, okay, on the table there. Same one, same evidence, every one. All of them same charges. 10 black men, 10 white men, go in front of the judge, pick up the same thing, and they say, you were found with this bag of marijuana. Same charges, same thing. End of the day, 9 black men go to prison, 1 white guy does. That's the kind of racism we have over here. And that isn't to make light of the difficulties that convicts have. You know, you talk about felony, the difficulties of people who have served a sentence for a felony crime, who are not legally allowed to lie about it. And yet there are states in this country. Here's how bad it is. There are states in this country that hand out pamphlets to convicted felons when they're released, telling them, when you go to look for a job, here are things that you can say that are technically true, so you don't have to be completely open about the felony conviction, because if you are, you're not going to get a second chance. No one's going to hire you. And if you don't get hired, the terms of your parole are that so you'll just be right back in here. Shit, I missed it again. I keep misjudging the distance. Tier 5. Only the Scandinavian names had a felony. The Middle Eastern names were presented as law-abiding citizens. Oh! Well, that's alright. At least we are on par with some people now. That's fair. Now we've got equal racism. At least there's some equality in this world. Tier 5. Focus pawing, you're effing up. I don't need to focus. Who cares? If these people want whatever it is that I'm shipping to them, they can come out and pick it up. They can walk slowly behind the truck and take it as they need it. I've got the other mirror. I can see it behind chat there, and I just have no idea where I'm supposed to be turning this thing into. Come on. Cut her hard, Paw. Cut her hard. I have been watching John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, just episode after episode after episode, and they're hilarious and they're fun, and they make light of it, and they make it something that's almost enjoyable to look at. But it's still painful. It's still painful. And to see, especially when you start watching, like, the backlog of episodes, and you see in 2013, it's talking about, you know, things that really need to be addressed quite soon. Really, we need to handle this. And it's 2018. Nothing has changed. We aren't racist against black here. We don't have any Siskavoodle. Well, you know, it's if you don't travel across the oceans, throw them on ships, and drag them back to be treated like cattle, it can be hard to find them in your neighborhood. Jesus Christ. So, in any case, racism isn't actually what I wanted to talk about today. I just wanted to talk about it as a preamble to, because I don't think those who don't live here, I don't think those who live here understand and are really aware how bad it is. But I sure as hell don't think that the people who don't live here recognize how bad it is, because it's not what you see. And honestly, there are places where all you have to do is live in America and you won't see it either. Because basically you're paying good money to not have to see it, to not have to face facts. That's what, you know, suburbia basically is about. Creating a special little land where the realities of the world don't have to come and touch you as much. You know, big fences make good neighbors. Good fences make good neighbors is how the phrase goes over here. But that's not really even what I wanted to talk about for Zen's Day. What I want to talk about for Zen's Day is the source of that. Is the source, in fact, of, like, crime, which relates to This Is America, you know, and is covered very thoroughly in far fewer words than I have used. But I want to talk about it in a lot of words, because it's just kind of what I do. The source of crime, as many people are aware, is simply unequal opportunity. It's inequality. The source of crime is people making a judgment call that, really, when you review it carefully yourself, makes perfect sense. It's really the smartest decision they could make. If you are a black or Hispanic person who is born in a poverty-stricken area who's born into a life of poverty. The spoon in your mouth is not gold, it's not silver, it's wood. Or, if you're in Flint, Michigan, maybe the spoon is lead, because that's how much people give a shit. The source of crime has a lot to do with poverty. The source of poverty has everything to do with inequality. Ooh, look, I've leveled up. And what I want to do with my words on today's Wednesday Zendnesdays live stream, we'll take long distance so I can drive a little bit longer and talk a little bit longer. What I want to do with my words here today is I want to try and create you a verbal flowchart to make it extremely clear and apparent how fucking ridiculous all of this is. To show you how the beginning is the end is the beginning. How crime, the kind of crime that gets cracked down on by the drug war, which, by the way, we're really winning them over here. No. Mandatory minimums and things like that. To show you how that crime starts at the top and is unprosecuted and then ends up at the bottom. Which should give you a hint of where we're going with this live stream. That we now are going to take a live stream break. Oh, I started 10 minutes late, so it's an early break, but I need it. I need it to collect my weed. What? Hashtag legalize weeds is the secret to every pony? Since when are there refugee camps outside of Calais? Is a guy called Jim? When are the Mondays going to return, Pawn, says Jim. I mentioned that half-heartedly. No. I don't know. I said we could end up needing Mondays for me to cover all of the games that I'm interested in playing. But, I don't have time this week. I'll tell you that. Next week, either. If Mondays come back, it will be a sporadic kind of, hey, I can do a Monday and have the energy to and want to, and then we'll do a Monday. Don't go counting on your Mondays. You can't even count on your Transport Fever playlist that I was going to make for you. So don't go asking about Mondays. You want Mondays? Hey, no way you're getting no Transport Fever playlist, for Christ's sake. The best way to see how much you're wasting your life, says Noah Craw, is during this live stream break. That's what you meant, right? That's what you're on about. Where's my mouse? Ah, there it is. We'll be back in 7 minutes from now. I'm going to play a little music so that, you know, you can pee to it and or get snacks to it or tune out and go watch something that isn't going to be so depressing. Awful. Stop starting new saves, please, is a guy called Jim. I lost the fucking... I reinstalled... Jim! We'll be back in 7 minutes. I probably do have the old save. I honest to God believed, because whenever you start up American Truck Simulator, it always like pauses and does a connecting with worldofTrucks.com thing. So, and I'm pretty sure I've wiped out PCs before and installed them, and American Truck Simulator had all of the data without me having to put it there. I thought so, anyway. Yeah, I'm just very confused. In any case, I probably do have the save file somewhere, so I will get that installed. Never. Back in 7 minutes. Pawn not out. You can't hear me. Going to be hard to talk Zen when we can't hear you, says Major Exelbert. I'm just gonna pretend to not be frustrated with everything that just goes wrong. I'm just gonna pretend that I wasn't just talking. I'm just gonna pretend. So, welcome back to a cheerful, happy live stream where we're gonna talk about just things that are fun and happy and just lighthearted, because that's what we come here for. That's what we come here for, right? To be uplifted and laugh and enjoy ourselves together. So let's talk about uplifting things like the immense economic impoverishment of race-generated cultures. What? No. Let's go from Raton to fucking No, Tucumcari. That sounds like they buried an ancient Egyptian prince there. Let's go there. Cheer him then. We can't hear you, Pawn. We still can't hear you. Better be able to hear me now, you pricks. It's not our fault. Let's all mute the stream and say we can't hear him, says Chicken Kerman. No audio during the live stream break, and then no audio on the mic. And so many of these are my fault. We're in Raton, apparently. They magically transported me there. I'm such a good truck driver that they put me on a plane and shipped me to Raton just so that I could drive this to the place that we're going today. Oh God, how do we get out of here? Where's the road? Road's to the left. Looks like if you go to the left, you can find the road to the left. Okay. Okay, back on the road. It's my birthday. Nobody can criticize me. Those are the rules, right? No critique on your birthday. So, I want to use my words. And I want to talk about Jesus. Oh, no, I've done it again. I did what I did at the beginning. You can't criticize me on my birthday. It's out this way, Pawn. Okay. Drug trafficking. Drug trafficking. That's what I want to talk about. That's what'll get us up and laughing, right? That'll get us all just good, hearty chuckle rolling through the hallways of the interwebs. Drug trafficking, because it's the primary solution for poorness in America. Man, so many young impoverished people end up participating in one way or another in the drug trade. Wonder why? Wonder why? Wonder why? Can we examine maybe why? We have a look-see at why it is that young blacks and Hispanics, primarily because poverty happens to be basically married to race in America. I've always been a poor person myself, so it's not necessarily, I'm just saying, if you're black or you're Hispanic in this country, oh, there's a good chance that you're poor as I am, or worse. Although that would be hard to do. I'm a live streamer on Twitch. I was a YouTuber before this. Drug trafficking, pawn is hauling drugs across American ATS. Now, it's not the first day, Chicken Kerman. It's not my first day as a mule. Drug trafficking is... So many young people in this country, coming out of economically impoverished areas, tend to find their way into drug trafficking. And my question is how? How? Because, I mean, think about that. What would be a worse activity than that? The realities of that activity are, first off, let's talk about, like, the threats upon you as a drug trafficker. You're, you know, probably 17 years old? Hopefully 17. Hopefully you didn't get into it any earlier than 17. 17 years old, and you're gonna start selling someone else's drugs for profit. The economic reality of that, as has been written about in several places, is you don't actually make money selling drugs. Not as the street corner kid, not as the house guy, not as the person who is actually doing the transactions on the street, because you answer to the people who bring you the drugs. And there's some scary folks, because they've been in the industry for a long time and they've managed to survive past 17 as a drug dealer, which is a challenge in and of itself. There's some scary folks, so basically, as a drug dealer, as a corner kid, you are interning in the drug industry with the hope, the illegal drug industry, in the hope that someday someone will see your hard work and give you a chance to come up in the ranks in the drug industry. And meanwhile, here's what's going on in your life. People are daily considering whether or not to try and come up with the 20 bucks that they need to get what they need for the day from you, because they're addicted chemically, biochemically, have very little choice in the matter. I mean, everybody's got a choice. You can make a decision. It's real fucking hard. These chemicals are designed to make it as hard as humanly possible. It is basically, you know, what McDonald's does with their food. Sugar and fat just play into all those, like, inbuilt genetic, like, oh, I need it kind of things. Just pour sugar into your meat in order to make it addictive. So it's even worse than that, if you can imagine it, worse than McDonald's food. In terms of its addictive quality. So on a daily basis, your customers are considering, should I try and scrounge up the 20 bucks to get what I need for the day, or should I just stab him in the throat and take everything he's got? You, as what I've just described as an intern, making shit all in terms of money for yourself, taking all of the risk on the street corner of both being jacked yourself, being, jacked by your customers, who maybe look and say, fuck, who's this kid? I can take him. Jacked by competing drug dealers in the area, which, by the way, is a reciprocal process. It's beautiful. Once it starts, it just don't stop. Basically, if somebody didn't make enough money, lost some drugs, used it, maybe gave some to a friend, maybe is trying to start up a business of their own on the side, they've realized that they're interns in an industry, they're not making any money and they're taking all the risk, and some drugs disappear, they have to answer to the people who brought the drugs in, who are scary fucking people. So, what they will do often, regardless of the circumstance, whether they pocketed the drugs themselves, used them somewhere else, lost them, whether they got mugged for them, you know, with their customers or anyone else, you know, their rivals. Regardless of how it happens, they don't have the drugs, they didn't make enough money, they can't pay the person who gave them the drugs to sell it what they're owed. So what they'll do is they'll go shake down another drug dealer. They'll go jack another drug dealer in order to get the drugs that they need and the money in order to pay it back. And then that drug dealer is now in a completely unique and new situation where they don't have the drugs or the money to give back to the person that they're selling for. So what they have to do is then go out and jack another drug dealer, who then is in the unique and never happened before situation where what they have to do... You see where I'm going here? You see what I mean when I say it's a reciprocal process. Once it starts, it just don't stop. What Breaking Bad taught me, I changed lanes fully intentionally there, is that you need to make the drugs in an RV in the desert, says Chicken Kerman. Well, the kids selling the drugs have no idea where the drugs are coming from, and they're not supposed to. And, you know, odds are they never will, because they won't survive long enough. Between those risks of just getting killed in the street, you know, being jacked, being robbed in the street, that's, well, you had a good day. Because you could have been killed in the street for what you're carrying by either rival dealers or, you know, turf wars, or just your customers who are desperate by their nature. You're also taking the risk of being arrested in a country where 9 out of 10 black people arrested for drug possession go to prison. Well, 1 out of 10 white people do. So you would think that they'd get smart and start, you know, selling drugs via, like, white 12-year-olds, because it's the safest thing to do. As long as the drug laws are what they are. Mandatory minimums in this country where a judge is not allowed, a judge is not allowed to judge. A judge is not allowed to look at the scenario, look at the circumstance, individual before them and say, okay, this person was picked up for drug possession. They clearly didn't have enough on, they weren't trying to sell it. It's a personal amount. As far, you know, they come into here and they say they've got a job and they're on the verge of losing it because they've been in lockup for, you know, 2 days. They got a family at home. They're supposed, you know, they got to take their kids to soccer practice. You know, a judge can look at a situation and say, okay, this person was caught with illegal drugs. How do I want to deal with that? That's how the legal system is intended to work, you know? Allow the judge, allow the courts independent. They're supposed to be independent. They're not. So that they can look at individual circumstances and say, so what's best in this scenario? Do I tear a father or mother from their family, from their household, diminishing the income into that household, and maybe they got children at home, and, you know, what's going to happen to the rest of the family when I throw this person in jail, and is this crime worthy of throwing them in jail? You know, find somebody with a small amount of personal drugs on them. You could just fine them. You could put them on probation. You could, there's a lot of options that are supposed to be available in a fair and open court system. We don't do that in America anymore because we decided about 30, 40 years ago to change our policies and start a war on drugs because we were losing so often in, you know, what wasn't a drug war. So we decided to really crack down and get tough on it, change all of our policies, have a completely different offense and defense for the home team. And everybody was on board, and everybody loves it when the politicians come up and say, we're going to get tough on drugs, we're going to get tough on, we're going to put more people in jail, we're going to let people know. They are going to know that if you do or use or traffic in drugs, that you are going to go to prison for 20 goddamn years. And everybody in the audience just cheers and, yeah, yay, we're cleaning up the streets. We've been doing that for 30, 40 years now. And I'm gonna ask you to direct your eyes toward the fucking scoreboard and see how we're doing in winning that war on drugs. Whether or not we're winning any more games for the home team, because we're not. We haven't changed a goddamn thing in terms of the amount of drugs that are on the streets in America. Okay? Hasn't worked at all. But now we do have, thanks to the drug war, all these mandatory minimums. We have people sitting in prison right now for decades, who will be in prison for decades, who were arrested for something that today, for possession of, like, marijuana, because it was, during the hardest years of the drug war where they were really cracking down, and even weed was, nope, mandatory minimums, huge sentences. They're sitting in prison right now, and will be for a very long time, based on convictions that, if they were to go to the court, before the court on those same charges today, there wouldn't be charges, because it's legal now. They haven't been released just because society caught up to, and said, this is stupid, what are we doing? No, they're going to continue sitting there for decades, because at the time that they did it, it was illegal. Even though now, in the same state that they were charged with it before, it's now legal for recreational use. 4 states in this country, at least 4 that I'm aware of, have legalized marijuana for recreational use, let alone for medical use. So what we've done is we've created a system where presently, last I heard, 2 million, over 2 million American citizens are in prison or jail presently, which is almost double that of China. China having a population that is between 2 and 3 times larger than America, but America has 2 million people in its prisons, which I believe is something, is that... America's population on the books is like 300 and some million, right? So if you got 2 million in prison, we're talking about just under 1% of the entire population is imprisoned in a nation this large of 300 and some million. A percent. It's a lot. And we've also managed to, thanks to the drug war, end up with basically, the drug war was basically a racist coach for the home team, because all of our policies have been implemented in the most racist fashion possible. Blacks and Hispanics are disproportionately charged and convicted of drug crimes, and white people, shit, you walk in there with a bag of coke, and you got a good chance of walking out of there. Maybe with the bag of coke, depending on how white you are. If you walk in and you talk like this the whole time, they might just say, here, you can have the coke. Take that, too. Try not to get caught with it again, okay? I got a lot of black people to process here. Would you get out of here? Whitey Mr. Smith? Was it crystal math? Says Chicken Kerman? Crystal math? What? We have for-profit prisons, and a fraction of that profit is used to lobby, read as bribe, politicians to legislate harsher and harsher laws and punishments, says Major Lord Exelworth. Indeed! Indeed! Quite a lot of that money is used, too. Our recidivism rate, our reciprocity, the amount of people who go into prison, come out of prison, and then wind up back in prison, is 52%. Last I heard, so 1% of the population of America, and those figures are growing every year. I gotta get off. Is not only in prisons, but our prisons are so effective at reform that more than half of them will be right back in after they've served their sentences, because our prisons are, and our social system in general. Can't blame it all on the prisons when you exit prison and there's no opportunity for you. Has to do a lot with things that, regardless of how the prison treated you, if you had opportunity outside the prison walls, you'd probably decide to go for that opportunity instead of going back to prison, wouldn't you? We have people in this country who literally come out of prison having served their time, at least to the point where they're now on parole or probation, they're allowed to be out in society again, who then end up being put back into jail, back into prison, simply because they can't afford to keep up with the costs of being someone who's on probation and parole, because very often, depending on the state, you have to pay for the privilege of being out. And so you have basically every fucking thing stacked against you, because you're coming out of prison, probably, possibly with a felony conviction, which makes it really hard to get hired again. Even if you don't have a felony conviction, you gotta have the balls and the chutzpah and the bravado to walk in and just pretend like you didn't just walk out of jail, and you're not looking for, well, why is there this big gap in your employment history? There are states, I started to mention this before the live stream break, there are states in this union that actually issue prisoners returning to work pamphlets that tell them, if you're asked who was your last employer, say the state of Washington. Huh? Because you were in the work program while you were in there, right? So it's technically true, and it sounds good. Don't mention the whole, you know, pressing out license plates part of it, because then the what, license plates? Sorry? Sounds like a prison. Don't mention that. Just tell them you used to work for the state of Washington. The state. Anyway, whatever state you're coming out of. Like, even our states realize how fucked up their own systems are. But won't change them. So, yeah. To get back to it, to come back from the tangent, just giving you a little backstory here. If you decide to peddle drugs in this country, as, you know, a young, impoverished people in dense urban environments tend to do, the stack of things that are against you, the horror that will be your punishment if caught, is a nightmare. And as I've mentioned, getting caught is the least of your concerns, because at any moment you could be either, you know, clocked, the back of the head, stabbed, killed on the street, either because somebody just wants to prove something, there's a rival seller who's like, this is my corner now, and kills you dead for no other reason, or because you get into that vicious cycle of, somebody jacked me, I need to jack somebody else, now somebody's gonna jack me because we need the money to pay the guy who gave us the drugs, and million 10 different reasons why you can die as a drug dealer. And economic studies have shown that the amount of money a person peddling drugs, the actual corner boys, make, is basically equivalent to a 40-hour work week at McDonald's. If they're lucky. On a good week. What they'll actually end up taking home by the end of the year is that amount of money. Because the money that they're making is first and foremost the people running the show. So basically they are interns taking all of the risk for none of the reward. You know, in the hope that someday they'll have an opportunity to be one of the big guys. Someone up the chain who's, you know, handing out the drugs. And the thing is, if you are waiting for someone to give you that opportunity, if you are hoping that, you know, sooner or later, you know, enough people in line before you're are gonna like get killed or something like that, you are not going to be chosen as one of those people. You know, you're not going to get the opportunity to be one of the big dogs, because the way you get to be one of the big dogs is to kill all of the other dogs. I could have sworn that this was where I had to park this thing. I could have sworn. Thought I saw it out of the corner. Was pretty sure I'd seen it out of the corner of my eye. Apparently I didn't. This will be the first time I've been incorrect, though, in this live stream, or really ever. So, you know, it's a banner day. You gotta be as white as the coke you're carrying to get away with this chicken Kermit. That's the sad thing, it doesn't actually take that much money to bribe, lobby the politicians, says Major Exelbirth. Oh no. No, they're just looking for a few $100,000 in order to run a successful campaign, especially when they're incumbents, you know, because that's what you're talking about, is, hello, here's where I was supposed to park, is incumbents. People who already have their position. Far easier to re-win the seat that you're already in than it is to take it from someone else. So yeah, you just need a couple of $100,000, really, and with all of your, you know, shady backhanded deals, you know, campaign donations, completely legitimate, legal campaign donations, where you are not at all promising to, you know, have anyone's back when legislation comes up around a certain industry who gave you, you know, $20,000 this year. You're not, you don't have any obligations to them, and they don't expect it either, just because they gave you 5 digits worth. No. Yeah, it ain't hard to lobby when you've got the money. Anyway. Yeah, so those are the challenges, and it just seems really stupid, doesn't it? Why would you get into that? Why, in God's name, would you decide to be a drug dealer? You know? Because once you get past, first you gotta consider, oh shit, I was there. There's like a few square millimeters where I'm close enough to lined up. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Fuck it. Pull forward. Pull back. Yeah. Once you get past the personal threat and that kind of thing, there's also, you know, I gotta believe that there's a moral awareness of what you're doing. You know, you have to be aware of it before you get involved in it, and you gotta know on some level that what you're engaging in is selling people products that you know are going to ruin their lives, right? I mean, you may justify it to yourself by saying, if it wasn't me out here, it'd be somebody else, you know? This product's coming in, somebody's gonna, you know, there's demand on the streets, so there's gonna be supply, I'm just happen to be the guy. You can tell yourself all that, but at the end of the day, in any corner kid's career, you're gonna end up being the source of a lifelong addiction for several people. At the least, we'll say several. You know, if you have a short career before you get picked up or shot or killed or something like that, you're going to be the source of destroying someone's life. And not just their life, you know, implicitly, their family. All the people who care about them, all the people who worry about them when they see them, you know, not paying their bills so that they can get more whatever it is, whatever their drug of choice happens to be. You are the source of that. And yeah, you can tell yourself otherwise, sure, but really, you know, right? So you're making that choice. So there's like this overwhelming moral incentive to not, and then there's all these other reasons to not, including your own personal safety, your own, you know, life, that you could be imprisoned for it. So why in God's name would anyone make such a stupid choice? Would be the question. It's a question I'd like to address here, like to talk about. It takes a long time for me to get around to what I actually want to talk about, doesn't it? It's like, oh, that's what he wanted to talk about, and in an hour from now, I'm going to be saying, and the only reason I even brought any of that up is because this is what I really want to talk about. Unignore a guy called Jim. Sorry? I'm just glad I don't live in the U.S., says Chicken Kerman. Me too. I'm glad you don't. You should have thought about that before you became poor, says a guy called Jim. You should have thought about that in the womb. Damn it. It's your own fault. Black man, get your money. You know? So why would anyone make that choice? Well, I presume that even the stupidest people, and I'm not saying people are intelligent. Oh my god. I won't argue that. I won't fight that losing battle. I'm not going to die on that hill for anybody. People are stupid. But I do presume even the stupidest people have, you know, basic sense about them. Basic, well, for the most part. It's hard to say this the more you start thinking about it with the Darwin Awards and stuff like that. For the most part, people have at least some general intelligence, if for no one else's sake, for their own, don't tend to walk into situations where they're going to get themselves killed. But so many people do in this country as regards the drug trade. So how do they get there? Why do they do that? And I guess here's what I want to say. If you are a young person in America, grew up in a ghetto, especially if you're black or Hispanic, the level of opportunity that you have in this world basically starts with, number one, are you going to play along? Are you going to not do what all of those amazing, important, historical black figures and black freedom fighters did? Are you going to not follow their lead and instead, you know, act white enough so that the white man will let you in and give you some opportunity? Are you going to do that? Because if you grew up in an area where, if you didn't grow up in a white area, which if you're poor and you're black, then probably not, thanks to slavery. What you really do need to do in order to have opportunities in your life is you need to pretend to be white. You need to learn how white people communicate, how white people, walk and talk and speak, because it ain't on them to figure it out. They're the ones with the money. So they don't need to understand you. You need to understand them. You need to make them comfortable with having you around. Because even though they'll tell you, I'm not racist, and technically, they're not. In the sense that they don't put, sheets on their heads and go out to rallies. They haven't been exposed to your culture. They've been exposed to their own culture. They see their own culture on TV, they hear their own culture on the radio. And the way that you behave, and the way that you act, and the way that, your parents talked and educated you, just everything about your experience as a black person in this country is so different than their experience as a white person in this country, that the only way that you're going to be able to fit in enough for them to let you be there is to pretend that you're not who you are, and that you don't come from where you came from, and that you're nothing like your parents. So basically you have to, throw off your lineage and your history and do something that you have to be an Uncle Tom. You have to decide on a certain level, I'm going to make a concession, I'm going to be some degree of an Uncle Tom. And certainly there are shades and degrees. Unless you just happen to fit in. Which, if you do, that's awesome, because that means that, and there are a growing portion of black and Hispanic people who are living a life that would be called kind of the white experience. The upper middle class, we're in charge kind of experience. And it's a good thing. I lived the white experience. I was bussed in from my trailer park to one of the richest school districts in the state of Michigan and got to experience what it's like for people who are living an entirely different life than the one that I was in my trailer park with my single mom, my dad, who was always around and who was always there, with the money. It wasn't like friend of court payments, because my parents had a very good relationship and he routinely provided both of us with more money than the court would have demanded. Took me out and all that sort of a thing. But it was a different experience. I'm getting off track. It was a different experience living where I lived and then coming in to where the well-off kids lived. We had, I remember the one black kid in my school. There might have been up to 2 others in my high school. That's pretty standard. So to just reel it back in point and get back to the point, how is it that that somebody decides that they're going to deal drugs? Well, one is maybe you don't want... Yeah, oh my god, that's a heavy truck to make that turn. Maybe you've decided that you don't want to be a sellout to your culture. And you know that you kind of have to, or else there's, at the very least, a glass ceiling in America, You can, as a black man, as a black woman, succeed to a certain level while still looking like and acting like and behaving as though you are black, and as though your parents were black, and as though you have black culture in your past. The way that, every nation in the world has its own culture. There's going to be a glass ceiling there for you. So, if you decide that you don't want to be that kind of cultural sellout to yourself and to everyone else, that limits your possibilities. Even if you decide that you want to be a cultural sellout, you just might not be good at it. There's a lot of things that I've wanted to do that I haven't been good at in my life. One, playing video games and live streaming. Never been good at that. One was when I was YouTubing, there were certain times in my career when I was, first kind of, when I was suffering through modest success, when there were sudden, like, spikes of new viewers to the channel, I wanted to find a way to stop losing view counts and subscribe, like, people show up for a certain type of video. If you don't keep doing that certain type of video, then they're gonna go away. There's rules to this industry if you want to be successful. And I wanted to play along, because I wanted to keep that audience, I wanted to build that audience, I wanted to get to the point where I didn't have to worry about the audience and could just, do what I do. I wanted to be exposed on YouTube so that people could see me and find me and decide for themselves whether they like me, instead of being buried underneath, a million other things, because YouTube only promotes its top 10, but over and over again in any genre or industry. So I wanted those things, and there were times where I tried. I tried to sell out to a certain degree. I tried to work the system, and I just wasn't good at it. Had a bad flavor in the back of my mouth the whole time, and it came through in whatever my performance or my recording was, that, he doesn't, you're not very good at acting insincere, Pawn. I'm sorry, too. That's why I'll never be, popular. You guys, the only ones who are ever going to know who I am, because I'm just not good at being insincere. I hate it when he rambles, says a guy called Jem, and then Pi says, I love it when he rambles. Hotline Bling remake, says Ren Phoenix? What? That was just a fun idea I had. The Hotline Bling thing. That was not one of the points where I was trying. That was just a fun idea. I really did think, though, you know what, to a certain extent, Ren Phoenix, you're right, because I thought, oh, this is going to be massively popular, It was just such timely and such a funny thing, and just, yeah, it was just a good idea I had based off of somebody else's good idea. I heard a song somebody did where they turned, they replaced Drake's lyrics with quotes from President Obama, and it was all the same words. They just cut all the words out and made Obama say all the lyrics. And that was what got me thinking about, I want to do this, honestly, because Obama sounded so, he kind of sounded white. So when I heard just his voice speaking like that, the Drake Hotline Bling song, it was like, oh, I could make that whiter, and it would be funny. And now, the racist white man before you will continue talking about how bad racism is. Anyway, I wasn't very good at it. If you're not very good at it, you may try to sell out in order to find the equal opportunity that doesn't exist in this country because of inherent systemic racism that doesn't have to do with any Klan members or any Klan leaders or anybody who, and these do exist, people coming out of their churches and telling stories about how Cain was the descendant who killed his brother, and therefore, I think I gotta go this way, yeah, and therefore, he was banished to Africa, and that shit is still alive and well in America and the South, and holy shit, can you believe it? But it's not even about that. That's obvious, overt racism that everybody can just walk away from, and you don't have to intervene with it. You don't have to interact with it unless you live in those areas, and I'm sorry. Please move out of those areas. Or, fight for equality. But it's just, there's enough of a fight out here against systemic inequality, where it's nobody's thinking that, nobody's saying that. It's just a preference. When you see two resumes come in and they're exactly equal, you're the business owner. And at the top, there's the name Darnell, and there's the name Steve. Steve might be black, too. Very, very good chance that Steve is also black. But Darnell is almost certainly black. And it's not that anybody's going, well, I don't want a black guy. It's just like a subconscious level judgment that you have to make, that these, not that you have to make, but that people make, that these business owners make, on a completely not intentional level. Well, maybe, hopefully, completely not intentional. At some degree, not intentional level, where you got two things that are exactly equal. Which do I choose? You gotta somehow, you know, pick. You gotta pick. And we all have those choices, and usually they don't come down to whether or not I'm going to employ a human being or not. Usually there's something a lot simpler, you know? Like a meal that you're going to have. Both of them sound just as good as the other. What do I want? How do I pick it? You pick it based on the weirdest bullshit stuff, right? Just, this one's on the left side of the menu, so I like left today. I'm going to take lefty. But you got to pick something. On a subconscious level, employers in the United States, some even black employers, will more often, absolutely do more often, statistically speaking, this isn't like a every now and then, no, will choose the candidate who is definitely not black. I hate it when companies hire people for ethnicity or sex to be diverse, instead of just hiring whoever is most qualified for the job, says Noah Croft. Well, I'm not sure that I'm on board with you there, because in this country, we're trying to recover from hundreds of years of slavery and still having basic ghettos that are left over from slavery, where people don't get opportunities and people don't get educated as well. The city of Detroit, I heard this, I have trouble believing this, I have not checked into this, but I was told this, that recently a study was done, tests came in, the results for the yearly analysis, finding that it just turned, I was doing 55, and then and then he gave me a ticket. You're a racist officer, which is most of them. The study came in for the year and showed that Detroit schools, 5% of students were on par with the rest of the country's students. We're doing average. 5%. I don't believe that. I want not to believe that, and I haven't seen the statistics myself, and I haven't cross-referenced them, so I don't believe that. But I do believe that if someone's saying that, then the results were pretty fucking bad for someone to exaggerate them into that condition. And it is always a possibility that maybe no one's exaggerating here. I mean, it is Detroit. So, if you're black in this country, if you're Latino in this country, based on your poorness, based on where you live, based on the fact that you live in a place that used to be a slave-holding ghetto, the idea of having some minimums on how many people you hire, it's kind of just one way of trying to even things out. Because if we don't do that, at least over here, how are we ever going to be able to say that there's equality? If the opportunities are based purely on your ability and your education, and we gave you no opportunity to develop an ability or be educated. So, you know, yeah, I would love to see better policy. I'd love to see just, you know, equal education, equal opportunities across the board. But until that day comes, and it doesn't seem like it's very soon. It's, shit. This is not that kind of, and I got a double trailer, I didn't even know. I didn't even know I had a double trailer. Oh, poop. I'm running into something right now. Don't care. Okay, slow it down. Yeah, I'm just jackknifing her. So I just gotta pull it in straight. I didn't realize. Something has to be done. I'd love to see something better be done. But basically I'm gonna say, you know, until you do something better, this is what you gotta do. And hopefully that will be the incentive that is needed. You know, if I had that ability anyway, that would be the incentive that is needed for people to actually fix the problem instead of trying to fix the, you know, trying to treat the symptom rather than the source. But that's just not how it's worked out in America. That's just not, we would much prefer to continue treating the symptom and not addressing the source, because to address the source requires us to acknowledge just how much we are responsible for. and just how horrible what we have done is, and what we have allowed to be done. Even in this generation, I'm not just talking about, you know, slave owners and shit like that, who, you know, my history is Canadian. My genes are Canadian. We weren't doing that. My people weren't doing that. I'm not talking about historical, I'm talking about today. I'm talking about living in this world and letting it just go on. And not intervening, and not making, not demanding more of our representatives when they comes to election time, you know? It's these very issues that get me so frustrated with people who turn out to the polls every election to cast their vote in the favor of a certain party, because they think that that party is better than the other party. Because by doing so, you are not holding your representatives to any fucking standard. All they have to do is show up and call themselves Democrat or Republican, and they know they've got your vote. They don't have my vote. Because I demand more. You want my vote, you're going to have to earn it. Not just by signing up to the DNC. People who vote every single time for a party exclusively are a huge part of the problem in this country. How are we going to get change if you will just keep turning out for banality, just because they represent what you think is the better of the two evils? The fact that we as a culture do not hold our representatives more accountable and hold ourselves more accountable in the election process, we are as responsible, we are ultimately 100% responsible for everything that's going on. No matter who you are, no matter what your race or your income level. All the hands are dirty. Well, the same is true for gender equality. Women have had to alter their identities as women to fit into the male-dominated workplace. The whole idea of power dressing or short formal hair and of acting tough to fit in are good examples of this. Yeah, you know, you kind of got to be a dragon lady in order to get the same respect in a professional environment. You got to be hard and tough and just, you know, crush your subordinates and that kind of stuff, and so they'll respect you because, damn, that woman has balls. You know, you can't, you know. I mean it both ways. I find it wrong to say, oh, well, we've got too many black men, so let's hire some more white women. Or the other way around. This is just an example. Instead of saying this woman is most qualified for the job, so we hire her. I guess the situation is very much different over there. But over here, companies are worried about seeming racism because it's not exactly evenly divided. I mean, it's the same concern as over here. People have been shouting about that for years and saying, this is bullshit. How are you, you know, employing people you're passing people over who are better qualified for the job, who worked hard and trained and everything in order to meet mandatory minimum quotas of hiring the right, you know, color of person. That's racism. That's your problem right there. And, you know, the argument is not without merit. It's just the ghettos are still real. Flint, Michigan, just a couple of years ago, you know, the state of my neighborhood in Detroit, like, this is still a major issue. 9 out of 10 black people, but 1 out of 10 white people. Like, how are you going to address that then? Because if you don't have a plan to address that another way, then we will address it right at the end of the line. And you, being a qualified person who worked hard in order to get your degree and to educate yourself and to be a professional in your industry and know everything, are going to be the one who gets fucked. And I have little sympathy. I have more sympathy for the people whose forefathers have generation after generation after generation after generation been the one who got fucked. Sorry, you're gonna have to go find another job in the industry that you'll probably get hired for, just, you know, shop your resume around, so that people who otherwise almost certainly would not get hired because of a systemic inherent racism that has nothing to do with, you know, overt racism, so that they can have the slightest opportunity of which you've had a shitload in your life. Every person must accept responsibility for their actions. Don't expect to get everything you want, Sister Macy. She was going to be the first female president, but she also had to be tough on terror and immigration, etc. Oh, God, Hillary. Ugh. Just a horrible candidate, horrible person, horrible politician in general. She didn't represent anybody. She certainly didn't represent me. And I wasn't going to vote for her, so I didn't. I didn't vote for the Democrats. I didn't vote for anybody that year because there was nobody to vote for. In the past, I have done a lot of work to find somebody who I wanted to vote for in a year where there was no one worth voting for, only to find out I wasn't allowed to vote for them in this country. So, just please bear that in mind when you're going out to vote for a party and not a candidate. When you show up and you just put a tick at the top of the ballot that just covers all the Democrats, please, or all the Republicans, please, you are a huge part of the problem in this country. Why we can't get social justice, why we can't get reform, because they don't have to. They've already got your vote. By virtue of being on the left or right side of the aisle, they got your vote. Because you lack standards, the nation has no standards. Our government has no standards. Racism, intolerance, bigotry, it all continues on because they've got your vote. They can get into office without giving a shit. Hold them accountable, show them that you demand that they give a shit, and then at least we can get them to start lying to us more. At this point, they don't even bother lying to us. They just don't say anything in the first place. Because they don't have to, because they already got your vote. You're going to vote blue or red. I'm one of those two colors. All I have to do is not significantly embarrass myself during this campaign, and I've got that portion of the vote. Can we at least get them lying to us again instead of just not saying anything? Tier 5, I disagree with the concept of mandatory minimum hiring, because it doesn't actually solve the problem. No, it doesn't. It's a method for making the people with the power to actually solve the problem not have to deal with it, while feeling good and proclaiming they did so much to solve the problem. But it doesn't really... The reason why I don't hate it, because it's definitely not a good solution, it doesn't solve the problem. The reason I don't hate it is that the people in power that you're talking about actually hate that system. People in power, it doesn't make them feel good. They hate it. They don't want it there. Every year they're trying to get, less and less, get it taken away more and more, and I don't know if this even still exists, if mandatory minimum hiring still exists at all in this country. I don't know, because I'm pretty sure they got rid of it to a large extent, if not completely, I thought, because they hated it. Because that was how they saw it. More so not that they hated it. I mean, maybe they did hate it legitimately, but when it comes to politicians, usually the circumstance is that it doesn't really matter. They don't really feel one way about it or another. They've just found out through marketing and research that if they shout that this is our problem that we need to fix, this is something that people will agree with, and then they'll just say it. That's how American politics works. It doesn't matter what damage you do with your words. It's a popularity contest. So the reason that I like it is precisely because it makes the people in power uncomfortable. They don't like it. They don't want it there. So the only reason that I don't like it necessarily, but the only reason that I don't mind it so much is that it's something to needle them. Something to say, you wouldn't have to do this if you actually addressed the problem. I don't think taking it away helps. I don't think having it there significantly helps either. But I think having it there is a little bit more. Makes them think a little bit more about it. I mean, if they chose to, which most people don't. Because we're Americans, we don't do thinking about someone else. We actually need another live stream break, so I'm sorry. I finally got us into another job. We gotta go take another live stream break. I promised this time to play half of the music, and then it'll just cut out. And then when I come back, I'll forget to turn the microphone off. People want to be victims so they can claim they were targeted because of their race, orientation, religion, etc. I don't think people want to be victims, Mr. Macy. Part of the people in power hate it. The other part uses it as a prop to pretend it solves the problem, says Mage Lord Exelberth. If anyone is using it as a prop to pretend it solves the problem, then that's just stupid. It's a happy birthday, a guy called Jim. It turned your birthday? We got birthdays. It's still my birthday, thanks to time zones and stuff. But here's one for you.
It's your birthday.
It's your birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
It's
We've
your
already heard this song.
Happy birthday.
The Democrats use it as the props, as Major Lord Exelberth. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's not been an issue that I've followed closely, but I Again, I'm just trying to give people, like, credit for being not entirely idiots. Happy birthday! In assuming that it's not something that they think actually solves any problems. It's something that makes a continuing problem slightly better and pisses off just the right people. You know? It gives them a way to say, if you want to get rid of this, then give me that. You know? If you want to get rid of this stupid Band-Aid on a hemorrhaging wound, then let's fix the problem. First acknowledge it, then fix the problem. It's not a good policy. It's not good, like, politically, I'll tell you that, because it's not a popular policy. It's not something that people really support. People of affluence don't hear about mandatory minimum hiring policies and think, oh, cool. No. So it's not like gaining any support or addressing any of the issues. So yeah, it's not a smart policy politically. But in terms of, like, what it's doing, I don't mind it. I don't mind what it's doing. I suppose I would probably say there's got to be, like, even if we can't get what's needed here, which is really hard because it's just so ingrained, what's needed here, really, is, it's... Am I allowed to talk about the overthrow of the American government on a Twitch live stream? Well, what's needed here is for an asteroid, because I don't think I am, for just an asteroid to just, all on its own, just happen to, small asteroid, just happen to hit Washington, D.C. at a day where everyone's there, and then aliens land, and we all have to come together in order to fight them, and then we have to rebuild from scratch. Yeah, that's it. That's what it is. That's a good way of not saying that we just need to revolt. That the only way to fix this is to discard it entirely and rebuild it. That's a better way. Yes. Challenge for you, experiment. Go apply and get a job at a retail store. Work it for a month or two. Report back your findings, Mr. Mason. Oh, I'm a member of the poor community. You don't think I've worked as a janitor? I've worked as a retailer. I've worked as a stock boy. Putting the shelves on and then shelving objects in the back there. I've been poor all my life, bro. I've done all those jobs. I did 2 days changing tires and said, this stuff sure the fuck ain't for me. During Trump giving a State of the Union address, Pence might not be there at the time, though, so gonna need to get him taken care of somehow. Another asteroid just needs to happen. Nuclear malfunction. Well, that is entirely possible, as according to the media I've been consuming quite frequently, America has something like 4,200 active nuclear warhead weapons deployed, which does beg the question, how many nuclear weapons does it take to destroy the entire planet? Because I think it's one. At least for America to have. How many nukes do you have to destroy all of Earth? I think it's one. Because once you fire one at the right place, that's pretty much it. It'll take care of itself from there. You don't have to have more than that. So I'm thinking 4,200 and some might be a little bit more than we need, considering that we don't really have the staff or the expertise to continue storing and handling them anymore. Maybe we could cut it back to like a couple hundred instead of 4,000, since the only circumstance in which you'll ever use them is either you've decided on, as a point of pride, you are going to start Armageddon and fuck it, and then you just fire them all. And in fact, just one will get the job done if you want to start Armageddon. Just fire it at the right place, and then they fire theirs, and then it's all fucking over. Or we will be using, America as a nation. How many would you need to attack a non-nuclear nation where you could get away with it? So the non-nuclear nation would also have to have, no friends in the world, right? So do you need 4,209 ICBMs? Is that really necessary? I'm just maybe not. Maybe we could save ourselves a couple $100 billion a year that's spent on trying to figure out what the fuck to do, to maintain and secure 4,000 and some enriched nuclear high-grade, 60-mile radius impact weapons or whatever it is. Maybe, when we're all talking about tax cuts and I don't want to pay all that money, maybe I've got an idea and it's exciting. How exciting? We'll be back in 7 minutes after a live stream break with more about the end of the world. Or the revolution. The overthrow. But you'd have to stay tuned to find out. None of you did. So. On not out.
can learn to love each other, then the truth will set you free. Oh, maybe pain and sorrow, there's no tomorrow. Will take a hold of me, baby, baby, baby. All alone, baby, won't you come along and hold me? I ain't the seventh son, but I know where I'm from.
Hello, I am the Seventh Son, and welcome back to a twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn live stream on twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn. We're talking about such happy matters as apparently there are 70 to 80 times more nuclear weapons on Earth necessary to kill every living thing on it. So welcome! I hope you didn't want a skinny woman, because MC Cullah is against it. He's again it. Welcome back to American Truck Simulator. Pawn, teach me about normal distributions, please. Normal distributions? Is that a mathematical term? What do you mean, Pony? I can't teach it about anything. Except everything that I've been talking about. Believe me on all of that. Major Lord Exelberth, cheers 10. In regards to the voting thing, I encourage people in the U.S. to stick in a party for the sake of voting in closed primaries and ditching the party altogether if they have open primaries. It's hard for me to be mad at the people voting party for the sake of party, though. Decades of brainwashing by corporate media does that to folks. You know, decades of systemic intolerance, inequality, and racism leads to the system that we have here. It's just, at a certain point, every individual is responsible for it. I get you, though, but massively frustrating, not just that that people do vote their party ticket and stuff like that, or that people go in and vote for the lesser of two evils, instead of just saying, I'm not going to vote for you if you don't actually represent my values, like they should do. It's not just salt in the wound, it's a whole nother wound that they then spend all the time leading up to the election shouting about how if you don't vote, you're the problem. Because, as is very easily laid out, and as I have done many times, no, you are the problem. Voting people in who don't actually represent you simply because you think that they're better than the other party's version. By not holding your representatives accountable, you are the problem. The people who look at the system, look at the people who are available, say, okay, who are the candidates today? Really? Fuck no, I'm not voting for them. You are holding this system accountable. If they want your vote, they have to earn your vote. They have to earn your vote by bringing forward a political candidate that's worth voting for. Doesn't have to be the perfect person. Doesn't have to be, you know, agree with you on every subject, every topic, share every opinion that you have, but they have to be vote-worthy. And presently, as far as I can see, vote-worthy, it just means blue or red. Which color tie did they wear to the meeting? That's a huge problem. People not voting is actually accountability in the voting system. So, you know, if all could just shut the fuck up when it comes to voting time about how if you choose not to vote, which is totally your choice, and a very, very valid one these days, just shut the fuck up about that. You know, it would be less wounds upon my soul. My parents were surprised. It is maths, yes. This is Seek to Everybody. You're trying to figure out maths. You want me to teach you maths? You must be desperate. My parents were surprised when I didn't want to vote because there was no party that perfectly fit me. The response was, you're never going to find a party that's completely going to match your opinions, so you're just going to have to decide what you find more important. Or, I just don't vote. Replies no problem. I mean, yeah, it's not a hard and lockdown if they don't do this, this, and this, but you can have issues like that. You can say, I'm not going to vote for somebody who is, you know, against abortion. I'm not going to vote for somebody who is... You can have hardline issues, but at the same time, yeah, we're intelligent people. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to agree with me on every single point. They have to be worthy of the position, and they have to generally represent my interests. And voting for people because they're in a certain party, like, when has that party actually represented your interests in this country today? In your lifetime? When have you seen like, we still have an election process where your vote counts less than the 50 people who have been ordained by God, apparently, to choose to vote, who to vote for based on the 50 states that are voting. Your vote counts less than that because of an electoral college. We have so many problems in the electoral system. I'm not going to go into all of them. So many problems that are clear, apparent. They come up at every single election cycle. There's always a conversation about them, and then nothing happens. Even though everyone seems to agree that this is stupid, why are we still doing it this way? We're depriving people of fair votes. You know, we got systems in various states that make it so that it's more difficult for you to register to vote. Like, if you haven't registered to vote a couple of months ahead of time, then you might not be able to vote, depending on where you live. That make it difficult to register to vote if you don't have ID, which a surprising percentage value of the population doesn't have because they're just that poor and because they live lives where they don't otherwise need ID. They don't get a vote? Why is it so hard for you to register? Like, why don't we have day of, walk in the building? Oh, you're not registered? Well, you're on the list of people who live in this area. Let me see some... Okay, there you go. Boom, you're on. Why do we have that? I mean, the ID thing, there's arguments to be made around it for... But on large-scale national elections, you end up depriving a huge percentage, a surprising percentage of people from having access to their guaranteed constitutionally vote in order to prevent a imaginary, never really proven, imaginary handful of individuals who would show up and vote under someone else's name. Which, if they did try to do that, by the way, if an individual, not an organization, not the Democratic or the Republican Party, who have tampered with the voting system many times, but if an individual, which we have a lot of laws making sure this doesn't happen, if they were out to vote as many times as they could and got a whole bunch of different fake IDs, you realize there's lines on election day, right? Like, one person in the most ideal situation would have to, what, like drive between 6, 7 different voting things, stand in line for an hour and a half at each one, and then get through and cast their vote, and then, quick, get in the car, give me a wig, I'm gonna go back in there. The fuck are you talking about? No one is doing that, and anyone who did do that would have absolutely no impact on a federal national election. Not gonna happen. But let's make a bunch of laws that prevent literally hundreds of thousands of American citizens from having access to their constitutionally guaranteed vote in order to prevent the imaginary circumstance in which one person might be able to manage to squeeze out 5 or 6 votes in a day by rushing from precinct to precinct. Yeah, that's, wow, you're just real smart, aren't you? Just really thought this whole thing through. What is the most money or the longest route length? Tucumcari to Kingman, Arizona. We'll take it. The president should hold no power and instead be to draw attention away from what? I've got to deliver. Oh, I'm still driving? I didn't. Am I still? I was. Okay. I don't know. We go on live stream break. I check out. Oh, right. I got this one. I just picked up this one. Okay. You're attached. Let's go. Always the parking brake. I never put my parking brake on when it's my truck. They always put it on for me, the pricks. I wouldn't use it. Loving this thoughtful background music, by the way, says Noah Brown. Bow, bow, bow. And another thing about the voting system in America. Ah! damn it. What? Don't tell me I'm muted again. I can hear you faintly. Oh. Well, that's a new issue. You stop. Just smack the microphone. Goddamn phantom power unit. Just goddamn parking brake engaged. No, go! Oh, shit, there's a cop next to me. God damn it. This fucking country. I need a Unabomb. I fixed it. Phantom power unit. You know, what are you gonna do? Buy a better phantom power unit, buy a microphone that doesn't need one, gets power from the USB lines right into the computer. Can't be bothered! Also, I'm part of America's impoverished. So, it's another reason I can't be bothered. I got $300 gift certificate from the state of Michigan for the purchase of fucking parking brake, for the purchase of electricity and heat this year. And incidentally, mailed it into the electric company like a week and a half ago. They still haven't recognized that it's come to them in the mail. And I realize now I have no way of, like, if they just took that and threw it away, what could I do about it? It was a voucher sent to me, like a check, a voucher sent to me by the federal or by the state government. I hand it to them, I send it to them in the mail, and then they've got it. If they just put it through the shredder and ignore it, what? I can't prove nothing. I can't prove that. Good luck trying to get them to pay. Good luck trying to prove that, you know, no, but I don't still have it, and you have to, and I was supposed to get this. I would say I'm not poor because I'm not, but at the moment I'm hardly doing well, says the guy called Jim. Well, I'm doing well, and I am poor. See? You can be all of those things. A lot of it has to do with your state of mind. Will you get the hell out of my way? Will you either move back or pull ahead? One of those two things could happen. I was alright, I'll drop back. I'm dropping back. Not gonna, you know, pound my brakes, though. I'm in a big truck. That's not what we do. Move the fuck out of the way. There you go. And... yeah, that grass will grow back. Welcome back to the live stream. What were we talking about? The thing that I never actually got back to. I suppose you get off on these tangents and they just never end. Which is why revolution is necessary. Here's what I wanted to talk about from the very beginning that I've just been trying to lay backstory for the whole time. Poorly, too, because I usually do it poorly. So, drug trafficking, young kid, doesn't have opportunities, born into a poor scenario, went to a shitty high school, decided not to finish it because they weren't really teaching him anything. Maybe he's in Detroit. Turns out 95% of the children educated in Detroit don't live up to the national average. So, you know, it's real. It's happening. Let's just imagine this scenario, though. Kid doesn't have a lot of opportunities, didn't get a good education, definitely not thinking about college, family doesn't have money, he doesn't have money, he's not getting any, you know, grants for all of his, you know, performance in high school because wasn't well educated and the high school didn't suck him, so he just dropped out. Family needed money, he needed money, he's been sitting there he's been sitting in the ghetto looking around him all his life, watching people die, he's got family members who've been shot on the street. Shit like that. This is his life. This is what he knows. He decides to start trafficking drugs. How does he come to that point when we all know that, like, on a moral level, you are deciding to be responsible for ruining dozens of people's lives? At the least. You're providing a product that there would be demand for, you know, regardless of whether you were there or not, but you are there. You are the cog in the machine. You're going to be the one. And there are going to be new customers and new clientele who come around. Are you going to be the drug dealer who says, hey, I've never seen you before? You know, what's going on? You know, why are you coming to me? Well, I heard a friend, and he said it was real, and he told me I could get some from you. Are you going to be the drug dealer who says, dude, you don't want to get into this? Yeah, sure you are. Sure you are. So how do they end up there? How do you make that justification in your head? How do you possibly come to that point and say, I'm going to take all of these risks, knowing that there's massive risks to it, knowing that I'm going to be, you know, basically one of Satan's helpers, drawing people into lives in just circles of hell that they're never going to get out of, addiction to drugs that are designed to keep you addicted for your entire fucking life. How do you get to that point? Here's how you get to that point. You look around you. You one, see that, yeah, you, because of your color and your economic state and where you were born and who you were born to in this country, do not have opportunities. Then you look way up the ladder. You look way up the chain. You look at the top of the food chain of the economy, world economy, and what you see is you see people who have been intensely successful, super ultra rich, living the good life, their families taken care of for generation after generation after generation. Okay? Their kids are never going to live the life that you know, your kids are going to live as the guy who's trying to decide whether or not to become a drug dealer so that you can make enough money to try and break your family out of this cycle of poverty that just never seems to end, and there's no way out of it. You look up the chain and you see these people doing so well, and you say, well, what are they doing? What are they doing that's so different that I could maybe replicate? And what you see is you see people, cogs in machines, the corporate version of the drug dealer on the street who tells themselves that somebody else would be filling this position if it wasn't me. You see them making their money by fucking everyone over, by doing horrible things and not caring, by enslaving populations in Malaysia and Vietnam, coming back to Nike again, and Walmart, Intel even. You know, going wherever their dollar goes the furthest, because the communities are already so impoverished, and then paying just whatever they have to, well, bribing and just, you know, making sure the wheels of the local government are greased, choosing governments where the wheels don't need to be that greased because they just don't believe in the concept of human rights. You find these locations, and you do the math, you crunch the figures, and you find out, well, it'll be a lot cheaper, even though we'd be making the products that we're going to sell on these shores, if we made them over there and paid the huge cost and expended the, you know, planetary resources of then shipping them back over here. It's actually still a better deal, a better bang for our buck if we do this. And then you employ, you look up and you see people employing third-party contractors who then can basically do whatever devious, dirty little things that the corporation wants them to do, so that the corporation can detach and say, well, that's not us. That's not us, you know. We simply employ other people to do the hiring in those countries, like Nike says. We simply employ other people to do the hiring in those countries, and whenever we find out that the employment standards are wrong and bad and evil, well, we cut it off right then. Usually when we find out, by the way, is when the news media exposes it publicly on a national level. That's usually when we find out. Not really looking into it ourselves. But when we find out, we very quickly make a marketing adjustment. You look up the chain, you look at the very top of how capitalism works, and you see that at the end of every major supply chain is an enslaved populace. And I don't mean slavery in the sense of somebody owns you, although in the case of Nike, that's kind of true, was kind of true, and may still be going on. Who knows? It's kind of why they have it happening in Malaysia and Vietnam and things like that. Harder to hear about. But that's not the kind of slavery I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of slavery because at the core of slavery is the simple notion that in exchange for your work, you are given nothing more than exactly what you need to show up to work tomorrow. That's basically slavery, right? You have no opportunity, no chance, you can't stop working, you can't have a break in your income, you can't choose to go do something else, you just can't get out of that cycle. We can agree that that's, you know, if not a literal definition of slavery, a very apt definition of slavery. In this country, 100 years ago or so, we had a concept called the company store. 100 years ago and going further back. And the idea was that the company that you worked for, which would routinely be in, you know, some kind of, not so much manufacturing as, you know, ore and supply and that kind of thing, coal mining, that sort of thing. So there'd be they'd find a good rich place, source for coal or for some other natural resource somewhere out in the boondocks. And what the company would do is they would buy the land and build a town. So that once they got you working for the company, basically they would pay you your wage, and then they would sit and wait, and you would walk out of the doors, and you would take the money that they've just given you for your wage, and you would walk across to the company general store, and you would buy the food and the clothing that you needed from them. And then you would go and make your payment to the company bank, which held the mortgage on the house that they built out there and then sold to you. You're never going to own it because they've made sure that you're not able, you don't make enough money to ever actually own it. You'll never pay down the interest rates. So basically they give you money, and then in the company store, the company town version of America, which was a very real thing, they would also erect the bars and the brothels, and they'd pay for all of those. Every dime that they gave you would come back to them. Essentially, they manufactured an existence where when you worked for them, they didn't actually pay you money. They gave you money, but what they were really doing was trading you pieces of paper and coin that you would then give right back to them through all of the things that they also owned at whatever price they chose to set. And they set those prices so that you could get just enough enjoyment so that you wouldn't, you know, grab a pitchfork and come kill them. And you would have just what you needed to survive to the next day and keep working for the company. I call that slavery. And it is illegal in the United States of America. And that's why they don't do it in the United States of America. That premise, still very much at large and in operation, the general premise of paying people, creating a circumstance where you get exactly what you need to just survive enough to keep working here, is basically the premise of all corporate entities. At the end of every supply chain, you will find that. Because that's the cheapest version of the product that you're going to get. And capitalism naturally seeks the cheapest possible source and supply. If it were okay to still own certain human beings in the world, that would be at the end of every supply chain, but it's not. Customers might actually just get pissed off enough to stop buying products. I don't know for sure, because I would think they'd be, pissed off enough to stop shopping at Walmart with the factories crumbling around 14-year-olds that are making their products in third world nations. I would think that they would stop when they found out, stop buying Nikes when they found out that they are imprisoning foreign migrants by taking their green cards and their passports away when they start working for them, and then not giving them back, so they literally are slaves. They can't work for anyone else, and they can't leave the country, and they're foreign migrants, so they have no rights in this country. I would think that would stop them. So maybe it wouldn't stop them if there was actual slavery out there. Maybe it would. It's easier to not test that premise and instead just do this newfangled version of slavery, where you pay a population and a civilization exactly what they need and no more, for them to have the strength and energy required to show back up to work the next day and do it again, for exactly what they need to do it again, for exactly what they need to do it again. So, what I'm saying is, the drug dealer, the kid who's making that decision, he looks up the food chain of capitalism, up the food chain of the economy, and says, fuck, it's good for the goose. In my opinion, personally, I think more of the drug dealer for all of the evil that they are doing and for all of the lives that they are going to ruin in their career, selling what they sell, pushing what they push, doing what they do. I think more of them than I do of the corporation. Corporation is destroying far more lives. Far more lives. Corporation uses marketing to get you ignoring that. Puts out happy, fun images with music in the back. Da, I'm loving it, in order to get you to not think about or care about that. Spends hundreds of millions of dollars per year, large corporations, to mask how they actually run their businesses. To put up a veneer, rather thick veneer, to make you think of them a certain way as opposed to the way they are. And is full of people who are telling themselves exactly what the drug dealer is telling themselves on the street. I'm just a cog in a machine. This is a product. There is demand. If we weren't doing it, someone else would be doing it. If I wasn't doing it, someone else would have my position. If we weren't enslaving foreign populations in order to make really cheap products to sell to over-entitled middle-class people in other nations who don't apparently give a shit, if we weren't doing it, our competitors would be doing it. Drug dealer on the streets, same exact explanation for his actions. At the top of the food chain and the bottom of the food chain, the same thing is going on. And the same profits are being made for the same reason. Because there is a reasonable level of profit, and there is an unreasonable level of profit. And modern corporations are making, far and away, an unreasonable level of profit. And the way that they're able to do that is by destroying human beings, churning them in the machine, and out the other side comes money and blood. And then they just wash the blood away with marketing. On the ground of the drug industry, it's the same fucking thing, which is why there's so many profits. There has always been and will always be huge profits to be made in being a bastard. In chewing up other people, treating them like animals, taking advantage of them. So, you know, the house across the street that's pushing drugs, I wish it wasn't there. I'd like to see them gone. I don't want them in my neighborhood. I wish it wasn't there at all. I wish it just wasn't happening altogether. But before I will, you know, worry about them, no, I'll worry about them because they're right across the street, which is what the corporations are counting on. Before I'll get upset about them, I get upset about the corporations. You know, I have more respect, which is to say, no respect at all, but somehow I managed to drain a little bit more out of the pool of no respect when it comes to corporations for the people who work for them and tell themselves exactly what the drug dealer is telling themselves on the street. You know, it's a job. Somebody's got to do it. The company's not that bad. It creates jobs. It creates jobs. I need to pull in for a vehicle inspection. We're creating jobs for people. Is this it? Jesus, you think you could have notified me a bit sooner? We're creating jobs for people. If we weren't in Malaysia, well, what would they be doing? Drug industry creating opportunity for young, uneducated black people and Hispanics. You know, giving them the opportunity to take a few risks on behalf of their families so that their families don't have to suffer in continuing poverty for the rest of their life. There's a justification that is exactly equal to what you're saying. We're creating opportunities. No. You just want for you and do not care who has to go down for you to get it. You care about you and yourn. And especially if we can keep the population of people whose lives we are destroying, you know, not on my street, I think I can live with that. Yeah. I have less respect for those folks than I do for the drug dealers and the criminals. Because it's not just about drug dealing. I've chosen to frame it in the drug trafficking industry because that's convenient and that's right around me. And something we're all familiar with. But just crime in general comes out of disparity of opportunity, lack of equality, Not having been given the tools, not having been given the means. It comes out of looking forward and seeing nothing. And then looking to the side and going, fuck it. Fuck it. Not gonna give me any opportunity? I'll take it. Crime's source is the economy. Okay? By and large, yeah, there'd still be some forms of crime. There'd still be a lot of crime if we didn't have such a vicious capitalistic nation here. We'd still have a fair few forms of crime here. A lot of angry people doing angry things while angry. That's going to happen a lot in America, especially with all the guns we got floating around. But I'll tell you, you could take a big, like, 90% chunk out of crime in general in this country if people just had opportunity. Because people are smart. They're stupid, but they're smart. They're self-interested, at the very least. You can rely on that, right? Capitalism relies on that. Everyone's self-interested. Well, that's the source of crime. Because when you are self-interested and you see that there's no future for you ahead, no opportunity for you, you find other opportunity. You make opportunity. People don't wake up one day and say, you know, I've never tried carjacking someone. I think I'll give that a go for fun. I mean, there's someone somewhere who does. But in general, you don't wake up and think, you know what? Mugging. Mugging. How did I never see it before? I'm a mugger. I am a natural-born mugger. They have basic human needs that are not fulfilled. And they try to fulfill them between the lines, you know, within the rule set. And they find out, Jesus Christ, this is next to impossible. And then they do something else, something smarter. They find another way where they can consolidate their effort into something that actually has a reward value to them. It's risk-reward, you know? That's what capitalism is based on, and somehow capitalism is blind to the source, how it is the source of crime. Risk-reward. I can either risk my entire life trying desperately and struggling and hoping someone gives me an opportunity, even though the system is set up against me, even though statistically speaking, less people will give me an opportunity than they will to the guy standing next to me, simply because he has less pigment in his skin. I can do that. That's my risk. I can risk my whole life and risk that I will, you know, bring children into this life, into this world, who will suffer my fate. Or I can take some other risks that have a reward that actually seems viable, that would actually accomplish something, other than just getting me to tomorrow. That could lift my children up out of this cycle of poverty and violence and crime and bullshit. And they make the right decision, because it is the right decision, isn't it? I mean, if you're just going to be cold and heartless and capitalist and cynical, then that's the right decision. Yeah, you really should. You really should just start mugging people. In particular, you should start mugging the people who have the money, who have more than they need. You know, if you're mugging your neighbors and stuff like that, if you're robbing from people who are poor, I don't think anybody can support that moralistically, but, you know, gotta say, I don't mind stealing bread from the mouths of decadence. That I can't feed on the powerless when my cup's already overfilled. Yeah, yeah. Technically, law is the source of all crime, says Hologram 1. Rules are made to be broken. Because if nothing was legal, nobody would break the law, yeah. I do love that. It really is true, too. Rules are made to be broken. If they didn't want you to break them, they wouldn't have made them, you know? I really think we should all get together and mug about 100 billion Jeff Bezos. I don't know who that is, but sounds evil. Let's get him. The fact that one person can have that much money disgusts me, says a guy called Jim. Yeah. You know? It's the same exact mentality down on the streets as it is in the corporate office. It's very tippy-top. Same mentality. leads to the same results. You know, you set the example and then you demand that people, no, you gotta follow the rules. What rules? The rules we're making up so that we can make more money. The rules that we are overthrowing your government by taking control of the FCC, the FTC, by lining the pockets of politicians in order to get the people that we want in office, in order to get people who don't really agree with us to be in our pockets nonetheless, so that when time comes around and they gotta make a vote, they're gonna think twice about whether or not they want that 600,000 next year. We want you to follow the rules that we are inventing so that we can make out better. Wait a second. Aren't those rules designed specifically to fuck me out of my money so you can have it? Yeah. I don't see a problem with that. Being the guy making the rules. Being the guy taking your money. Tier 5, Pawn, sing more. Pim thinks he's listening to better music. Prove him wrong. This is America. You know I love to sing. You know I love to sing. But I got no songs in my heart right now. You load 16 tons. What do you... No, I got no songs in my heart. So yeah, there you go. That's basically what I wanted to say. I wanted to point out that if somebody wants to draw up a flowchart of how production works in the modern capitalist world and the consequences thereof, you know, how do you get really cheap products made to a high level of quality into the hands of people who have more money than they need, who are buying them out of, you know, branding and convenience. I'm not going to buy those $20 sneakers that were probably made, you know, by the next shift that came into the same factory. I need the $120 sneakers. How do you get those products? How do you manufacture that line, and who gets hurt, and how does it work? You draw yourself up... Oh, shit. Draw yourself up a... Jesus Christ. You draw yourself up a flowchart on how that works. And then, and this will be really easy afterwards, draw yourself a flowchart of how crime works, how the drug industry works on the ground, and who gets hurt. And you will notice that the exact same thing is happening at both ends of your pie chart. In the middle are a whole bunch of people who are just really happy to be here, apparently. So happy that they don't mind where it's coming from or who has to die because of it, or whose family has to live in abject poverty. For generation upon generation, you know, they've got a whole lot of excuses and a whole lot of things that they can tell themselves about. That country is better off now that, you know, these big corporations have moved in, they've created jobs, people are getting some money in their pockets. Sure, it's not much. Sure, they can't leave the job. Sure, but. Draw that pie chart up, draw that flow chart up of how things move, and you'll find it's exactly the same on both ends. In the middle is, you know, us. Middle class is a horrible thing, you know? You get right down to it, the existence of a middle class, everybody's fighting for it. You know, we gotta make a larger middle class in America. The existence of a middle class means that there is an upper and a lower class. And I think maybe that's what, you know, conservative people who don't agree, people who are staunchly capitalists, don't get about socialism, is that the basic concept of socialism is it's unfair to have one person starve to death while another one's eating, you know, steak. That's all it really comes down to. And there's a lot of things that are built on top of that premise, but it's really just, you know, the teachings of Jesus and Gandhi and Moses and Buddha and Muhammad. It's basically just human decency is all that really is at the heart of socialism. And trying to grow a middle class inherently means that somewhere there's going to be an even larger lower class. There's going to be an even more economically depressed and deprived population. Because there has to be. Because that's how it works. You don't have upper, middle, and lower without the lower. You don't have upper and middle. And the more you have this middle class that people market to, and, you know, basically people who are, I don't know, how do you describe it? They describe it because a lot of people are middle class, and that's why nobody talks bad about the middle class, but it's, like, the marketing, I'm not going to be able to make that. I'm not going to be able to make that. The marketing is for you, right? You're the one who is for the middle class. You're the one that they're trying to market to. You're the one who they're creating the little jazzy tunes and the, you know, bright colors and hiring the sports people in order to sell their products to, which means they confidently know that you are dumb enough, on average. And the middle class is dumb enough, on average, to spend your money on their products while they're making their products in ways that are inhumane and disgusting, if you knew about it. But they know that you're dumb enough to listen to their fucking jingle, and the next time that you know, start thinking about the things you'd like in your life to make it more convenient, you'll think of their brand first. That's what the middle class is, right? It's the people who have money in their pocket who aren't that intelligent, right? Isn't it? I mean, on a majority level, we're talking, you know, majority. There's smart people in the lower class, the upper class, and the middle class, obviously. But on the majority level, I just like to, I want to say this because so often the middle class is spoken of like it's just, oh, the middle class, oh, the middle class is just so great. Oh, to be in the middle class, though. It's such a fair economic place to be. You fucking kidding me? You're the morons that they're advertising to. You think the jingles sound stupid? They're for you. Think the happy, polished, you know, exterior on the Kroger and the Walmart, when it contains literally objects that were made in factories that are in filth by children? You think that's for somebody else? Did Pawn pull up to a regular consumer gas station to fill up his truck? Now, I'm just trying to deliver this thing, and do I have to back it in? I do have to back it in. Okay, this is going to be really tough. The simple fact is there's thousands of people really bad off. I can't do fuck all about it. So you know what? I'll just benefit from it, because I don't care otherwise, this hologram one. Yeah, that's the middle class. Thank you. That is the description that I was trying to get to. That's exactly it, you know? Ah. Oh, but to be the middle class, oh, we need a bigger middle class. More people who are just insensitive and uncaring and just happy to consume. Just really happy to consume. Trade the hours of their day in order to get more money, in order to feel like they've accomplished and succeeded as a person in life, and then trade all of that money that they traded their hours and lives for to buy products that they don't need, manufactured by other people in poverty. In situations where literally their lives are endangered by the black mold growing on the walls and the lack of fire extinguishers, all the other things that are well documented in Walmart and Nike facilities. Oh, but the middle class. Oh, we need to help these people out. We need a larger middle class. More middle class people is what this world needs. More insensitive, intolerant people who, you know, they're just so well air conditioned, it doesn't matter to them anymore. I got my TV, I got my internets, I got my video games. No need to do as little as to one day a year, or one day every 2 to 4 years, turn up to an election process and actually hold these people accountable, as opposed to just ticking the vote for this party box. Can't even be bothered to do that. Listen, my favorite sports team is on. You know, I got chimichangas in the oven. Frozen stuff. Just, boom, pop it in there, it's done in 20 minutes. My life is just too goddamn convenient for me to give a shit. Middle class. More. I don't think anyone deserves that much, but nobody's gotten it for free. Jeff Bezos had to work hard for his first billion. Now he gets them for free, but he still had to do... we worked hard to get them. He worked hard at what? That's what you get from the rich, you know? I put in my time, I worked hard, and, you know, there's a lot of trust fund babies in the rich, in the upper class there. But there's also enough people who supposedly work hard and pulled their own bootstraps up, and those are the stories they like to tell. And my question is not whether or not you worked hard. I sit in a chair and talk for 3 hours as a job, so I don't really want to do a comparison of who's working harder. I'm not concerned with whether you worked hard as much as I am worked hard at what. Because if you have billions of dollars, I'm guessing what you worked hard at was fucking human beings in the asshole in order to get billions of dollars and not giving a shit along the way. I'm guessing that's what you did. You cut people off, you just made the most convenient decision, the most economical decision, the most immoral decision in order to get to that point in your life. I'm guessing. It's possible to get there without having done it. But as the Bible, 2,000 or so years ago, some 20s before that actually, because this is older than that, as even the Bible recognized back then, sooner shall a camel pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man enter into the gates of heaven. Meaning, the way that you get rich tends to be that you fucked everyone else around you. It's not that a camel can't pass through the eye of the needle, especially if you've got like a spaghetti strainer. You just push it. You can get it through there. It's just that it's highly unlikely. Lie. More long distance for me. And I think, on that cheery, upbeat note, I think we've come to the end of the live stream. To be fair, Vaughn, a lot of pornographers made their money the same ways as Kenneth One. No. You got that backwards, Kenneth. It's the people being fucked in the ass who make the pornography money, usually. You know, by and large. Again, a pornographer can pass through the eye of a needle with a spaghetti grinder. I'm just saying, it's more likely. Whoa, too sudden. Too effing sudden, says the guy. Well, did I give you a little bit of live stream whiplash there? I'm sorry. He's worth, this Jeff fella is worth 130 billion? Well, gee, that's the GDP of a small nation, isn't it? You couldn't really do anything with that money if you spread it out, though, you know? 130 billion doesn't go far. Doesn't go as far as you think it would. Mm-mm. I'm sure Jeff What's-His-Face is doing the best thing for everybody with that money, and it's totally fair that he has it. It's totally... He didn't do anything bad in his life ever to get it. He didn't set up any chains of industry and production that crushed human souls beneath the cogs of the... He wouldn't have done that. He's a good guy, this Jeff so-and-so with 130 billion. I can't wait to see him, you know, inside the pearly gates. Ooh. Seriously, F that guy. Bezos got $300,000 from his parents to start up Amazon, for your information. Oh, is that who it is? Is that who it is? Generally, I just have my money and keep it, says Hologram One. Just swim in it. Just live in it. You know, my little thing, I've said it once before on live stream because it does occur to me as like the one thing that I would do if I had money. You know, if I had unmitigated resources. Like, one thing that I would do for me, you know, one thing that would come to mind first, because the first thing, if, like, you just suddenly ran into money, it would immediately be about, well, you know, I'm gonna pay off my mom's condo, and she can move where the fuck she wants, and I'm gonna get my dad a place, I'm just gonna, like, set everybody up around me. I got friends who would be getting money, you know? Be like, just, here, pay off your house. Now you're free. Sell it, don't sell it, whatever, but you're free. You got student debt? Here's your student debt. Just pay it off. If suddenly money was there, you know, I would at least strongly consider, like, just doing that. But the one thing that I would actually, that, you know, in my head I would like to do for myself someday, I would like to have, like, a fitted wardrobe. I would like to have a fitted wardrobe, and I'm not just talking like having some suits that you wear. No, I'm talking a fitted wardrobe. I want all my pants and all my shirts and all my everything to be made for my body, so that no matter what I put on in my drawers, including my drawers, I look good. I look good, and I feel good because I look good. I was sick of it before I was aware I was sick of it. I was sick of it 20 years ago, wearing bullshit off the rack clothes that don't fit me, that are built for a generic human being that isn't me, and don't accentuate any of my curves. I mean, my bulges. I'd like to know what that's like. But yeah, what would you do? What would you do with money? Just like, you gotta set a certain number, right? Because if it's only $1 million, oh, that's hard, right? If it's only $1 million. If it's only $1 million, that's kind of tough, because like I would want to, set my mom and my dad up and just like, here, you got the money, she pays off her house, now you got your house paid off, and you got the value of that, plus, whatever else, you find a place you want to live and just be taken care of. My dad, same deal, make sure you got like, that's the thing, if it's only $1 million, I also want to make sure that she's got like a running vehicle that's not a piece of shit that keeps falling apart, that kind of stuff. Just like, you want to set your parents up. You want to like, I want to help out, friends, people close to me, but at the same time, that's part of the problem, is that people get money and then they take care of who they know, who's close to them. And, so, with $1 million, it gets tricky for you. It gets tricky for me. I think I'd still end up taking care of my parents, and I would want to help out. Maybe, but you got to like draw the line at some point and say, listen, this money is massive opportunity to change human lives. Most people don't get this chance. A couple 100,000 in your pockets. It's not a lot in a larger economy sense, but it's seed money to make something. It's seed money to make something that is a lot. Seed money to make something that makes a difference. It's hard. What would you do? If I had 100 billion, I'd keep 1 billion and give away and donate the rest. What would I ever do with more than 1 billion anyways? It's chicken curve. Your own Mars colony. See, personally, if I had like, that level of money, I've never lived in a world where the most money that I've ever made, I think, in my life in a year was like $26,000 was my income for a year. That was the most money. And I don't remember that being like a particularly good year. I was running it was good financially, I guess. I just don't remember like being like, oh, let's live high on the hog. I think maybe I was paying off my college debt at that time, so it was just all going there. My idea of like having economic freedom, being like completely socioeconomically free, would be like, shit. If I had a yearly income of like $80,000, the fuck would I even do with that? Like, that would be complete socioeconomic freedom for me. And from where I'm sitting, $80,000 a year? Like, this year on my taxes, it's like 10 to 12 or something like that. I don't, because then I do my deductions and I end up, like, claiming 6,000 is basically the final number, but I don't remember what the gross income was, but it's like 10 to 12, that kind of thing. I get by, well enough. I, can go out occasionally, have a fun night with friends. I can splurge on $150 worth of computing equipment and get us 2 live stream computers, pulling most of it together from fucking duct tape and shit I already had in the closet. I get by. I enjoy life to a certain extent. I could be enjoying it better with a little bit more. But, I get by. I don't feel uncomfortable. I'm not stressing out about, next month. At least this month I'm not. Haven't been for a while now. I'm not stressing about the money, the income, and I am making less than $1,000 a month. So, that being my norm, 80,000 a year? Yeah, man. And that's, to some people, it's like, yeah, but that's not a lot. That's, I'm a single man. I don't have a family. I don't have a... Even if I had a family, I'm used to feeding me on $1,000 a month. A child, they're going to be less weight than I am. They don't need as much food as I do. Wait a second. All right, I'm going to scroll up with chat. This is just going to be the end of the live stream. We're just going to chat for a little bit because I'd buy me some new clothes. I'd get that laptop I'll need later this year. I'd go grab a burger, and I'd keep the rest for later. So this guy called you. Well, if you had a billion, thank you for the cheer. I will catch up with it in a minute. I only need a few Ks to get everything I need or want at the moment. A few Ks? You are racist, clan member. People would bother you asking for money. You would never have enough, Sister Mason. Well, I would say, that's like I'm saying, if I had 80,000, if I had, like, a huge income, I would expect to, like, mate myself out 40 to 80,000 a year. I don't know what the hell I'd do with 80,000 a year, but I think I would be quite comfortable living on 40,000 a year as well. And then the rest of the money would be for, doing something that made the world better. Because I have a number of complaints. I personally wouldn't give money away through charities. I'd give money directly to people anonymously, says Major. I'm not giving you a goddamn penny, and don't you effing dare hate me for it, says a guy called Jim. Where's my PayPal money, Jim? What's going on, huh? Seriously, if I was really rich, I'd just get myself loads of nice stuff, give the two only friends I have in the world a couple billion quid for themselves because I like them. I'd probably try to have a luxury airship made. Jesus, hologram one. You keep going. The next thing that you say you're going to do is going to include, like, I'd wipe out all the assholes around me. I'd hire a death squad. If you hate me for my wealth, I don't need you in my life. If you love me for my wealth, the same. It's one. I wouldn't hate you for your wealth. I'd hate you for your blacked out name in Twitch chat. That'll do it. I'd be too rich to give a crap, says Jim. Oh wait, I already am. But since that doesn't seem to be enough right now, I guess I wouldn't then either. Leonidas5 says, I thought his name was just me. Oh, Jim's name is, like, blacked out for some reason? My god, Twitch hates you. What did you do, man? He was running some kind of scam with PayPal and Twitch. He was cheering without having to pay somehow. They caught up with him. They've markered over his name. I'm the person who would have the massive, bloody, burgundy, rigid body airship floating above the Thames, and flouting wealth. I'd mostly just ignore most people. I'm postmodernist, but I'm a minimalist when it suits me. Major Lord Exelworth finally caught up to your cheer. There was a study done, and it was determined that earning anything in excess of $95,000 a year does nothing for people. After that point, you start stressing yourself out on finding ways to spend that money. I heard about that study, yeah. The closer you... There's a certain point at which people's happiness, happiness index kind of thing, measurable happiness, rises and rises and rises until you start getting up to the 6-digit figure, and then it really starts to just... And then when you get to that level, 95,000, Major Lord Exelworth is saying, now your happiness index starts to fall again. Because you got too much money. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Even if you don't know it in your conscious, subconsciously, surely you're saying to yourself, fuck, there's so much suffering in the world, and why do I have so much? Postmodernism is all about yippee-ass colors everywhere, and with your 80s, go away. Pawn, a child could make you eligible for subsistence assistance, says Kenneth one. Do you know where I could buy one? Like, one of those Malaysian ones. I hear they make really good tennis shoes. Pawn would be making more money by having a child than live streaming, says everybody. Especially if you get them to make shoes. Says Kenneth one. Oh, you got the joke 3 minutes earlier than I did. Shit. I do believe I'll be well off later on. For the record, Bezos could supply 1,368,420 people with $95,000 for a year. See? There's not much of an impact to be made there. The money's best with him. You want them to be doing the small details while they're young and have tiny fingers. I can manage to have, says Pony, I can manage to have financial security by the time I'm 40. I'll never be filthy rich, but I'll certainly be all right, says the guy. Well, good for you. In theater mode, it's black background. Honestly, Pawn, I'd not be above hiring assassins if people irritated me, says I'll grab one. I don't think you would be. I didn't think so. I'm in about the same position a guy called Jim. I'm looking at a 55% pension once I'm 40. I did an amortization table on retirement. It's not going to work out for me. It's not. You can just pay off the politicians to let you go. Says, what? You need to lose some of that money, right? You know, if you don't spend it on yourself, then Uncle Sam's just going to get it. The assassins would be a good way towards getting rid of some of that obscene wealth, says a guy called Jim. Yeah, they can be expensive. Especially the ones that do the cosplay and the free running, which are the only ones that are really worth getting. Because if they can't bring back like a really cool GoPro video, then what the hell are you paying for? If I had all the money ever, I wouldn't be unhappy, says Hologram One. They say money can't buy happiness. You know what it can do? It can finance cats and provide me an airship that's close enough. You can't buy happiness, Hologram. You can rent it monthly from Rent-A-Center. Or ridiculous. Don't rent furniture, people. Whatever you do. Televisions, don't rent furniture. If I ever won a huge amount of money, I would just end up giving most of it away. With $5 million, I would live happily ever after. And any more over that would be pointless for me to keep, says Chicken Kermit. See, you gotta think bigger than that. You gotta think in terms of, like, if I had $5 million, I'd just keep it, and then that would cover me for my life. No, think bigger than that. There are many, many ways where you can, at that point, you just put your money out, your money makes money. And that being a possibility, it's kind of irresponsible if you don't. Because you can be, you know, making products and providing jobs and that kind of thing. And so if you've got that money, you got to do something with it. And it can continually, you know, make you the money. You just leave it all out there and still have everything you need every year. But you leave it out there doing good things, paying for the asteroids to be redirected to fall on Washington, D.C. at just the right time. You gotta do something good with it. I watched in 2017 when you played XCOM, Kerbal, and Planet Coaster, then stopped viewing till now. Well, welcome back, Leonidas 5. It's certainly not always like this. And this was a Zendnesday. This was a day where I allow myself to either go on endlessly about spirituality or complain about the world's problems. But, you know, there's other live streams where I'm not allowed to do that. I do fear it'd affect how people felt about me, says a guy called Jim. You're worried about if you had $1 million, would people think differently of you? Oh, to have your problems, Jim. You say money can't buy happiness, but you can buy cake with it, and that's sort of the same thing, you know? Ice cream, nobody doesn't like ice cream. Unless you're intolerant, and that's just racism. I just like airships, and I don't have every pet shelter because cat. You know, you can't own an airship and live on it, and also be sending assassins down. Because, you know, airships, pretty easy to knock them out of the sky. Guess some of them, they gotta be airship bodyguards, airship guards. I suppose you could hire people to just strap to the outside of the airship so that if they shot at you, it would have to penetrate them. Thank you for the cheers, Zorglob. Cheer 100. Have some money, Pawn. Oh, God, now what am I going to do with it? All the responsibility? I'm going to have to... There's so many children suffering, starving in the world. Thanks for the donation. I am the Ronin Pawn. And thank you for the donation. Thank you for the support. Because I don't have $1 million. I have $10,000 to $12,000 per year. And then Uncle Sam gets his dirty fingers in there. Thanks for coming out and hearing me explain to you the source of all of mankind's miseries. I hope you enjoyed it. You can now draw that flowchart of how capitalism works, where crime comes from, and how the same thing is happening at the top as at the bottom, and then hate yourself for being somewhere in the middle of it. I am the Ronin Pawn. I'll see you this whenever with another live stream. Pawn out! It'll be Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. That's when we're going to have another live stream. Okay, bye.